Chapter 521. The Mysterious Yin Seductive Body, Imbalance of Yin-Yang Energies. So what is there to mind? If he minded and couldn't let go, he would have just had Ling Zixiao set up a formation to isolate this area. At this moment, the primordial Yin essence in Nangong Mili's body was still surging violently, causing his qi, blood, and mana to flow wildly throughout his body. This primordial Yin origin is too powerful. My primordial Yang is not sufficient to merge with it completely, only a portion can be nourished back. Lu Changxing began to use the tender embrace technique. But in the face of such vast and powerful primordial Yin essence, the tender embrace technique simply couldn't facilitate dual cultivation. Because dual cultivation requires both individuals to have similar cultivation levels. Or for the stronger to assist the weaker. There has never been an instance where the weaker assists the stronger in dual cultivation. At this point, the true elixir primordial Yin he was drawing from Nangong Mili was too immense. And it contained a Yin origin essence, causing his primordial Yang to be completely insufficient for the merging of Yin and Yang. It seems that this primordial Yin essence can only be used to enhance my cultivation level, thought Lu Changxing to himself. He channeled a part of the essence that had merged the Yin and Yang back into Nangong Mili's body. At the same time he activated the 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture, refining the excess primordial Yin essence. This vast primordial Yin essence was superior to many elixirs and miraculous medicines. Just then. Lu Changxing suddenly felt an imbalance of Yin and Yang in the Yin-Yang fish in his Qi Ocean core that was devouring the Yin origin. His Yin-Yang 5 elements foundation base's Yin-Yang energies were already predominantly Yin over Yang. It was only maintained in balance by the spirit-nurturing energy of the Golden Core Lady. But now, as the Yin-Yang fish absorbed the pure Yin origin, the Yin energy grew even more exuberant, causing an imbalance in Yin and Yang. An imbalance of Yin and Yang? Observing this, Lu Changxing's brow furrowed slightly as he pondered what to do. He could now make the Yin-Yang fish stop refining the Yin origin. But without absorbing it, the Yin origin could only be used to enhance the cultivation level. However, when compared to strengthening the foundation, merely improving the cultivation level seemed much less significant. Moreover, using such a vast Yin origin and primordial Yin essence solely for enhancing the cultivation level would be extremely wasteful. Because the cultivation level enhanced through dual cultivation, if excessive, could lead to a shallow foundation, which would require a lot of time to consolidate. Could this Yin origin, with its cold and Yin properties, suppress the backlash of the Dragon Roar origin and the Dragon Roar physique? A thought struck Lu Changxing and an idea surfaced in his mind. His biggest problem in using the Dragon Invocation technique to draw out Ling Zixiao's Dragon Roar physique's origin was the backlash against the spiritual body. Therefore he had thought of using some kind of cold Yin artifact or mana to suppress the backlash of the Dragon Roar physique to facilitate the extraction. Previously he had planned to wait for Nangong Mili to awaken and have the nascent soul immortal suppress Ling Zixiao's Dragon Roar physique so he could perform the extraction himself. Now, the Yin origin from the nascent soul immortal spiritual body made him realize he could use it to suppress the Dragon Roar origin. If feasible, not only could he take the opportunity to resolve the Dragon Roar physique, but he could also extract the Dragon Roar origin to balance and enhance his own Yin-Yang energies. Without hesitation, he made up his mind and took action. Lu Changxing turned to Ling Zixiao and called out, "Zixiao." Ling Zixiao was admiring Nangong Mili's perfect jade body. Startled by Lu Changxing's call, she paused. Xiao Chan's master should have some kind of Yin spiritual body and harbors some Yin origin that is beneficial to dual cultivation. This origin might be able to suppress the backlash from your Dragon Roar origin and spiritual body. Lu Changxing quickly explained to Ling Zixiao. Yin origin? Suppress the Dragon Roar origin and the backlash of the spiritual body? Upon hearing this, Ling Zixiao showed a look of surprise and delight. She was aware that the biggest issue Lu Changxing faced in resolving her Dragon Roar physique was the backlash of the Dragon Roar physique itself. If the origin extraction proceeded, it would trigger the Dragon Roar physique's backlash, with Yang energy scorching her body, putting her life at grave risk. If this Yin origin could suppress the Dragon Roar origin and the backlash of the spiritual body, then Lu Changxing could unreservedly extract and plunder the Dragon Roar origin to resolve the Dragon Roar physique. But the next moment, the joy on her face froze. She realized that to use Nangong Mili's Yin origin to suppress her own Dragon Roar origin, it could only be done through dual cultivation in the marketplace. Doesn't it mean she now had to engage in dual cultivation with Lu Changxing? Although she had been intimate with Lu Changxing many times before, this method of dual cultivation, especially with Meng Xiaochan as a third wheel, made her feel somewhat hesitant. However, seeing Lu Changsheng's sincere gaze, remembering that at this time, he had acquired such rare spiritual body origin not to enhance his own cultivation level but to help resolve her dragon roar physique, and realizing that this was a rare opportunity to resolve her dragon roar physique, she clenched her teeth and immediately nodded in agreement. All right. This. Meng Xiaochan, standing to the side, heard their conversation and her delicate face froze in a daze, somewhat bemused. Wasn't her lover using a secret dual cultivation technique to heal her master? Why, before the healing was even finished, were they moving on to solving Ling Xixiu's issue? The thought of Lu Changxing using her master's spiritual body origin to solve Ling Xixiu's condition made Meng Xiaochan feel uneasy inside. But she couldn't really say anything against Lu Changsheng's decision. She just pursed her lips and asked softly, Lu Lang, my master won't be in danger from this, right? Certain spiritual bodies, once their origin has been extracted, may face deterioration and danger. Xiaochan, don't worry, nothing will happen. Your master is likely not a natural enchantress but a kind of spiritual body with some yin origin that is beneficial to dual cultivation. That's why there was a problem with the dual cultivation technique just now. I could only stop and refine this origin essence. Lu Changxing did not hide anything as he continued running the tender embrace technique, transferring some of the yin-yang essence to Nangong Meili while explaining the reason to Meng Xiaochan. Chapter 522. The Mysterious Yin Seductive Body, Imbalance of Yin-Yang Energies. Having said that, he asked aloud, Xiaochan, do you know what kind of spiritual body your master has? My master has never told me and I am not clear about it. Upon hearing this, Meng Xiaochan pondered for a moment, shook her head and indicated that she did not know. The matter of a spiritual body is very private. Usually it is not disclosed to others. Especially since Lu Changxing said that Nangong Meili's spiritual body is beneficial to dual cultivation. In such cases, it is even less likely to be revealed. Because a spiritual body suitable for dual cultivation is very suitable for being a cauldron. If it were known, it could easily attract the attention of those with ulterior motives, attracting trouble like bees to honey. A naturally charming body with the yin origin source, a dual cultivation physique? Could it be the profound yin charming body? Lu Lang, the yin origin source you just mentioned, is it in the state of jade liquid? Upon hearing Lu Changsheng's description, Ling Zixiao reflected and spoke. As she couldn't cultivate, she had scoured various texts in search of a solution for the dragon roar physique. Now, hearing Lu Changsheng's words, a corresponding type of spiritual body immediately came to her mind. Exactly. Lu Changxing, surprised and doubtful at her words, nodded. He had just sensed that this yin origin source, when integrated with the primordial yin essence, exhibited a jade liquid state. Then there's no mistake, this is profound yin jade liquid, and this immortal spiritual body should be the profound yin charming body. The profound yin charming body naturally possesses charming bones, and when cultivating yin attribute techniques, it has a certain enhancement. Moreover, the bearer of the profound yin charming body will nourish the profound yin qi within their body upon reaching the foundation establishment stage, aiding in breaking through bottlenecks and realms. The higher the cultivation level, the better the effect on breaking through bottlenecks. If the owner of the spiritual body breaks through to the core formation stage, and the profound yin qi becomes dense, it will transform into profound yin jade liquid, which can help nascent soul cultivators break through bottlenecks and perhaps even realms. Ling Zixiao, too, was amazed at Nangong Meili's spiritual body and explained the effects of the profound yin jade liquid to Lu Changxing. Profound yin jade liquid can help nascent soul cultivators break through realms? Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing was amazed in his heart. Helping nascent soul immortals break through realms meant that it could also assist in the breakthrough to the nascent soul. However, such rare profound yin jade liquid had been obtained by him, basically squandering a heavenly resource. If others knew that such jade liquid, which could aid in the breakthrough to the nascent soul, was obtained by a mere foundation establishment cultivator like him, they would probably be green with envy. No wonder just a bit of profound yin jade liquid ingested by my yin and yang energies caused such an imbalance. Lu Changxing paused internally, coming to a more direct understanding of the preciousness of this yin origin source. If so, suppressing the dragon roar origin with the profound yin jade liquid should not be a problem. He ran his mana, stopping the yin and yang energies from refining the profound yin jade liquid, and shouted to Ling Zixiao, Zixiao, hurry, otherwise this profound yin jade liquid will be refined by my mana. Okay. Hearing this, Ling Zixiao no longer hesitated. She immediately removed her light blue palace attire, revealing her snow-white, voluptuous and graceful jade body. This body was not as enchantingly enticing as Nangong Meili's, but was still lithe and graceful. Splash. Lu Changxing transferred the tender embrace technique, solely focusing on healing, and released Nangong Meili. Then he embraced Ling Zixiao tightly and jumped into the spiritual pond. Splish splash. The two entered the spiritual pond, causing a splash of water. Zixiao. Lu Changxing raised his hand to signal, first taking out a spirit pill from his storage bag for Ling Zixiao to consume, to avoid any accidents during the process. He then called out with a serious voice, indicating that he was about to begin. Ling Zixiao, wrapping her arms around Lu Changxing's neck and entwining his waist with her legs clad in sheer white stockings, responded. After watching for so long, she was already emotionally moved. Dragon Invocation Technique. Lu Changxing firmly held the shapely waist of the beauty, took a deep breath, and activated the Dragon Invocation Technique. Chapter 523, Xiao Chan, bring your master over. Undersea One roar. As the Dragon Invocation Technique was activated, the Flood Dragon arrived inside Ling Zixiao's body, roaring at the Dragon Ball and tentatively seizing the Dragon Roar origin. Immediately, the slumbering dragon soul within the Dragon Ball was awakened, bursting forth with a commanding dragon cry, with an imposing aura in waves. Ugh! Ling Zixiao let out a muffled grunt, wrapping her arms around Lu Changxing's neck. Zixiao, relax. Lu Changxing knew that the process of seizing the Dragon Roar origin using the Dragon Invocation Technique was extremely painful for Ling Zixiao. In previous seizures of the origin source, Ling Zixiao was almost unconscious, nearly passing out. He gently stroked her smooth skin, helping her body to relax. Then he activated his cultivation technique and infused the profound Yin Jade liquid into the spiritual pond. After a moment, the profound Yin Jade liquid near the Flood Dragon transformed into a black phoenix bird. Screech. The phoenix bird, upon seeing the Dragon Ball, cried out, spread its wings and dove towards it, swallowing the golden Dragon Ball into its stomach. In an instant, the boiling turbulence of the spiritual pond began to subside. Could the effect be this good? Lu Changxing was pleasantly surprised to see the profound Yin Jade liquid instantly suppress the Dragon Roar origin. He had guessed that the profound Yin Jade liquid could subdue the Dragon Roar physique. But he hadn't expected the effect to be this remarkable. Immediately, he operated the Dragon Invocation Technique, letting the Flood Dragon roar and begin to snatch the Dragon Roar origin. Ling Zixiao's body tensed as the dragon and phoenix struggled, with the Flood Dragon seizing the Dragon Pearl essence. Her fair skin glowed pink and became covered with a layer of fine sweat droplets. This was also one of the reasons Lu Changxing brought Ling Zixiao to the spiritual pond. Although the spiritual energy in the pond wasn't particularly dense, it still had some nourishing effects. It could slightly alleviate the pain of the backlash from the Dragon Roar physique. Roar. Under the Flood Dragon's seizure, a strand of golden Dragon Roar origin slowly emerged from the Dragon Ball and the Black Phoenix Bird's body. But immediately the Dragon Ball, suppressed by the Phoenix Bird, started to violently thrash, and the Dragon Soul roared ferociously, almost bursting out. The Black Phoenix Bird, facing this situation, also flapped its wings and issued continuous cries, attempting to suppress the Dragon Ball. However, this was the Dragon Soul's territory within the spiritual pond after all, where the Dragon Soul held sway. Even though the Phoenix Bird was stronger than the Dragon Soul at the moment, it couldn't easily suppress the Dragon Ball. Suddenly, a fierce struggle between the dragon and the phoenix commenced. The just calmed spiritual pond at this moment began to roil and boil once again. Seize. Lu Changxing dared not hesitate. He knew that it was better to endure short-term pain than to prolong the suffering. The Flood Dragon roared, ready to swallow the strand of Dragon Roar origin in one gulp. Ah! All at once, it seemed as if raging waves surged within Ling Zixiao, roaring continuously. Bring the elixir. Seeing this scene, Lu Changxing knew that even with the profound Yin Jade liquid suppression, the Dragon Roar physique would still cause some backlash. Moreover, Ling Zixiao was already in a weakened state. The seizure of the origin source by himself also caused certain damage to Ling Zixiao herself. He reached out with a large hand and took out a bottle of elixir medicines and a stack of talismans from the storage bag, applying them to Ling Zixiao. These were prepared by him specifically for Ling Zixiao. Under the power of the elixir medicines and talismans, Ling Zixiao's condition instantly stabilized a great deal. Her willow brows relaxed, she exhaled a breath of turbid air, and her tense delicate body gradually loosened, trembling slightly. Dragon Invocation Technique. Lu Changxing firmly supported her slender willow waist with both hands and called out softly. He let the flood dragon swallow the golden origin source in front of it. After swallowing a strand of dragon roar origin, the flood dragon did not leave. Instead, it roared at the dragon ball and continued to snatch dragon roar origin. Within the black phoenix bird, the dragon soul let out a mournful cry, and another strand of golden origin source slowly emerged. Now, with the profound Yin Jade liquid suppressing the dragon roar physique, Lu Changxing naturally could not, like the first time, hastily snatch just a strand of dragon roar origin. He needed to seize as much of Ling Zixio's dragon roar origin as possible. After all, once this opportunity passed, there would be no such shop to find. This surge of profound Yin Jade liquid was not eternal. In the process of suppression, the profound Yin Jade liquid was also being consumed. Once the profound Yin Jade liquid was fully expended, it would be difficult for him to plunder the dragon roar origin like this. Additionally, there was a limited supply of elixir medicines and talismans he had prepared for Ling Zixiao. Once the power of the elixir medicines and talismans faded, he would have to rely on himself to stabilize Ling Zixio's condition. And currently, Ling Zixio's body was still in recovery in a state of weakness. To solely rely on him to stabilize her condition through the yin-yang nirvana art and the life extension technique was far too difficult. Moreover, there was Nangong Meili waiting for him to come to her rescue. Boom boom boom, the dragon and phoenix kept roaring, fighting as if to shatter the entire secluded pond. The flood dragon meanwhile took the opportunity to keep snatching the dragon roar origin. 1 strand, 2 strands, 3 strands. Strand after strand of dragon roar origin was snatched and swallowed by the flood dragon. Oh. Lu Lang. When the flood dragon snatched the 8th strand of dragon roar origin, Ling Zixio's complexion turned from pale to a bit ghastly pale. Her entire body trembled as if she had been electrocuted, her voice weak and trembling. "It's okay now, it's all right." Lu Changxing gently stroked the beauty and quickly spoke to comfort her. He knew that he couldn't continue to draw more from her. Ling Zixio's condition was too weak at the moment. The plundering of the dragon roar origin caused her significant harm. If too much origin was plundered at once, it could severely damage her foundation. Later, even if the dragon roar physique issue was resolved, she would face the problem of a damaged foundation, making it difficult to make any progress. Dragon Invocation Technique. Lu Changxing immediately operated the Dragon Invocation Technique and took all 8 strands of the dragon roar origin into his body. Boom boom boom, no sooner had the 8 strands of dragon roar origin entered his body than they rushed about chaotically. This caused Lu Changxing's body to surge with blood and mana, and a muffled grunt escaped from his mouth. The initial single strand of origin had not caused him any harm. But now, suddenly absorbing 8 strands of the dragon roar origin, it had a certain impact on him. Chapter 524, Xiaochan, bring your master over. However, this shock remained within a tolerable range. 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art. 7 Luminaries Great Freedom Sword Scripture. Lu Changxing activated his cultivation technique, as his blood and mana surged, suppressing the dragon roar origin within his body. The next moment. The yin-yang energies in the Qi Ocean core transformed into little yin-yang fish swiftly swam over. With a whoosh, they swallowed a strand of dragon roar origin and began to refine it. As Lu Changxing stopped plundering the dragon roar origin, Ling Zixio's eyes opened and closed amidst a spring-like, mesmerizing haze, her movements languid and seductive, and her voice was no longer filled with such pain. Under the gentle comfort, her voice at times lofty, sometimes melodious, at times seductive, and at times soft. Meng Xiaochan, not far away, blushed and palpitated at the sound of these tender moans. Watching the splash-splash of the water constantly splashing in the spiritual pool. She didn't understand why the elegantly composed, dignified and graceful Ling Zixiao would make such sounds at this moment. Moreover, even though the voice sounded extremely painful, it seemed to contain hints of joy. She pursed her lips, refusing to watch this scene. Discarding distractions, she came to one side, eyes on the nose on the heart, to check on her master's condition. Although she had great confidence and trust in Lu Changxing, still she couldn't help worrying about her master's situation in her heart. Through checking, she could see that a stream of pure origin essence was flowing slowly within Nangong Meili's body, nourishing her physical meridians. However, this origin essence was still too scarce compared to Nangong Meili's current condition. If this continues, I believe Master will be able to wake up and recover, she pondered. Subconsciously, she glanced at Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao in the spiritual pool. Splash splash, splash splash. The night waters were shrouded in mist, with a gentle breeze blowing crisp sounds along with the splashing of the water. Under the bashful moon and starlight, ripples spread across the water, a myriad of enchanting scenes not meant for outsiders. Rumble rumble, yin-yang nirvana art. Dragon roar origin and primordial yin essence within Lu Changxing surged wildly. His 100 refinements treasure body art and 7 luminaries great freedom sword scripture were operating rapidly, continuing to elevate. He paid no attention to his own improvement, but focused on Ling Zixiao, who was nearly unconscious amid her confused awareness. Supporting the beautiful woman's waist, he began to use the yin-yang nirvana art to alleviate her pain and stabilize her condition. Speaking of which, the tender embrace technique can allow the fusion of primordial yin and yang. I wonder if the dragon roar origin and the profound yin jade liquid can also merge? Lu Changxing tightly held her slender waist, maintaining the rhythm, and looking at the profound yin jade liquid in Ling Zixiao's body, he thought about his own yin-yang energies. If the two origins could merge, perhaps there might be unexpected benefits. No sooner said than done. After stabilizing Ling Zixiao's condition with the yin-yang nirvana art, he began to activate the tender embrace technique. He attempted to fuse a portion of the profound yin jade liquid with dragon roar origin. Under the operation of the cultivation technique, the two origins slowly began to merge. However, they could not achieve a perfect fusion like the primordial yang and yin, hence creating 1 from 2 and 2 from 3. As expected, it won't work, he said with a slight shake of his head. Lu Changxing knew it wasn't just a match of one yang origin and one yin origin that could merge. The merging of the great sun essence and Tai Yin moon radiance was solely due to the spirit nurturing energy obtained from a core formation girl. Otherwise, these yin-yang energies would absolutely not have formed. Pity that there's only a tiny wisp of spirit-nurturing energy, he lamented. If I had more of this spirit-nurturing energy, perhaps the dragon roar origin and profound yin jade liquid could integrate in a yin-yang fusion, Lu Changxing mused. He then continued to pay attention to the enhancement of the yin-yang energies, refine the primordial yin essence, and heal alongside Ling Zixiao through dual cultivation. Now with the replenishment from dragon roar origin, profound yin jade liquid and primordial yin essence, his whole being was brimming with vitality and energy. Seeing Meng Xiaochan with a flushed face nurturing Nangong Mili's body, he called out, "Xiaochan, bring your master over here," outside Qingzhou Mountain. Boom boom boom. Yu Jinyang, Yu Yuanshan, and Yu Ningjuan, 3 foundation establishment cultivators, were persistently attacking the foundation establishment area of Qingzhou Valley. During this time they were not attacking non-stop. To avoid excessive mana consumption and risking the Lu family activating the Great Formation in desperation, they stopped to rest and recover their mana periodically. But as soon as they felt recovered, they would resume the harassment and assault. After 7 days, the hearts of everyone in the Lu family were shrouded in a deep gloom. After all, to launch such an assault and harassment on Qingzhou Mountain was like rudely defecating on their heads, an extreme provocation. Yet, faced with such brazen challenge, they dared not retaliate and could only endure the harassment. Boom boom boom. After 7 days of harassment, the trio's attacks grew increasingly ferocious. Eugene Yang, the leader, even brought out a golden mountain-like large magic artifact, continuously bombarding the formation, causing immense noise and commotion. Just then, boom. Over Qingzhou Valley, the swirling spiritual energy vortex suddenly shook violently as if a dam had broken, collapsing with a thunderous crash. The spiritual energy vortex has collapsed. This means a foundation establishment failure. Ah. Yu Ningjuan saw the dispersion of the spiritual energy vortex inside Qingzhou Mountain and immediately relished the disaster with a hearty laugh. In this expedition against the Xiahou clan, he successfully established his foundation using a foundation establishment elixir and foundation establishment spirit objects he had exchanged for with his family's contributions. Whereas the foundation establishment hopefuls of the Lu family had failed, which brought him great joy. Foundation establishment failure, Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain's fate has run out. Eugene Yang beheld the sight, his authoritative visage betraying a smile as he stroked his snow-white beard. Chapter 525, Xiaochan, bring your master over. He immediately turned to Yu Yuanshan and Yu Ningjuan and said, now that the Lu family has failed in foundation establishment, we can go back. Yes, ancestor. A smile also appeared on Yu Yuanshan's face as he nodded. The failure of the Lu family in Foundation establishment indicated that things would proceed according to their family's plan. As long as the Zheng family ancestor Lu Yuanzhong was dead, those two spiritual lands along with the Red Leaf Valley market would fall into the hands of their Yu family. By then, relying on the resources of these spiritual lands, their Yu family would be able to rise even further. Yes, ancestor. Yu Ningjuan originally wanted to go and see the faces of the Lu family cultivators, to mock and ridicule them. But he remembered that their purpose in coming here was to harass while concealing their identities. Although it was likely that the Lu family and other clan forces could guess that it was their doing, such matters should not be brought into the open. Otherwise it would look too ugly. Moreover, the Lu family ancestor Lu Yuanzhong was not yet dead. If he were driven to desperation and flipped the table, laying a hidden trap to kill their Yu family disciples, it would cause a lot of trouble. Immediately, the three of them took one last look at Qingzhou Mountain, confirming that the Foundation establishment had failed. They then transformed into escape lights and left the territory of Qingzhou Mountain. Within Qingzhou Mountain, the spiritual energy vortex has dispersed. This is a failed breakthrough. Damn it, if it weren't for these three Foundation establishment great cultivators constantly disrupting and harassing us, how could this have happened? Is this the heavens wanting to destroy our Lu family? The family has Elder Yuan Zhong and Uncle Changxing, who is a second-grade talisman master. There's still a chance to continue nurturing for Foundation establishment in the future. The Lu family members saw the dispersal of the spiritual energy vortex above Qingzhou Valley and all had unsightly expressions, feeling heavy-hearted. Knowing the dispersal of the spiritual energy vortex signified that the Foundation establishment had failed. Ancestor, I have failed your expectations, I've let the family down. Lu Miaofeng walked out of the secret chamber weakly, his eyes bloodshot and voice hoarse. Failure in Foundation establishment, even after consuming a Foundation establishment elixir, caused him a certain amount of injury. Sigh, this is not your fault. Lu Yuanzhong's face seemed to age a lot all at once. Looking at the younger generation in front of him, he deeply sighed. He was someone who had been through it all. He knew the difficulty of Foundation establishment, especially when the entire family's survival and future were all on one's shoulders. This pressure, burden, and responsibility were truly too heavy. Back then, he had a good environment to concentrate on breaking through Foundation establishment. But for Lu Miaofeng, this Foundation establishment elixir not only carried the future survival of the family, it also embodied his high hopes and the sacrifice made by Lu Miaoge. With all those psychological pressures and coupled with the disturbance from external enemies, it was natural for his mental and emotional state to be affected. And for breaking through bottlenecks and realms, the state of one's essence, energy, and spirit are all very important. Lu Changxing, preparing for his Foundation establishment breakthrough, took nearly half a month to adjust his state even in a nearly sure-win situation. Ancestor. Paying respects to the ancestor. Ancestor Miaofeng Fenger. At this time Lu Yuanding, Lu Miaoge, and other Lu family elders and core members came to the depths of Qingzhou Valley to pay respects to Lu Yuanzhong and to visit Lu Miaofeng. At this moment they were all heavy-hearted. The other Lu family disciples were not aware of Lu Yuanzhong's condition. Being Lu family elders and part of the core leadership, they naturally knew that Lu Yuanzhong was now in a bad state with not much life left. Now that Lu Miaofeng had failed in Foundation establishment, within 10 years, they would be powerless to gather the wealth needed to obtain another Foundation establishment elixir and to cultivate for Foundation establishment. All the elders, Sister Miaoge, I've failed to meet your expectations, I've let the family down. Seeing everyone, Lu Miaofeng clasped his hands into fists, veins popping, biting his lips until they bled red, and bowed deeply with a hoarse voice. He knew the family had spent much cost and effort on this Foundation establishment elixir and 3 Foundation establishment spiritual objects. But now, with his failed Foundation establishment, all these costs and efforts had turned into ash. Miaofeng, you should rest well now, do not hurt your body and affect your Foundation. Lu Yuanzhong, seeing Lu Miaofeng in this state, sighed softly and had someone take Lu Miaofeng away to rest. Although with the protection of a Foundation establishment elixir, failure in Foundation establishment would not pose any major issues, without proper recuperation and cultivation, it could still affect his Foundation. Especially with Lu Miaofeng's current mental state, which obviously had some problems. If not adjusted, it could even lead to a heart demon. The Lu family's current high-level combat power was already scant, with no successors. If Lu Miaofeng were to suffer another mishap, it would be another great loss for the Lu family. Yes, ancestor. Elders, Miao Feng is taking his leave. Knowing his current state was very bad, Lu Miao Feng, with a pallid complexion, nodded slightly and bowed before excusing himself. Now that Miao Feng has failed in foundation establishment in the upcoming time, consolidate and integrate the family business, and dispose of the smaller businesses. After Lu Miao Feng had left, Lu Yuanzhong looked at Lu Yuanding, Lu Miaochang and the others and spoke out. It sounded very much like he was preparing the family for future contingencies. Yes. The others, upon hearing Lu Yuanzhong's words, all looked heavy-hearted and troubled. Ancestor, I am now at the peak of the 9th level energy refinement. In a few months, once I refine my mana to be smooth and satisfactory, I can attempt foundation establishment. At this moment, Lu Miaoga said with her lips pursed. She had broken through to the 9th level energy refinement 6 years ago. It was only because she switched to cultivating this Saturn solar sword technique that she delayed her progress in cultivation. It's not possible. As soon as she spoke, Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding immediately objected. Miaoga, if there is no foundation establishment elixir, attempting foundation establishment is extremely dangerous without guarantee, and absolutely not something to try lightly. Lu Yuanzhong looked at Lu Miaoga and said in a grave voice. Apart from coordinating the 3 phases of foundation establishment and increasing the chances of success, a foundation establishment elixir also protects the meridians and dantian. Otherwise, a failure in foundation establishment could lead, at the lightest, to injury and regression in cultivation level. Chapter 526, Xiaochan, bring your master over. For the repercussions could be severe, causing damage to the energy channels and rendering one crippled or even leading to death. Lu Miaoga was not only one of the Lu family's top combat power. She was also a first-grade top-level talisman master, in the process of breaking through to the 2nd grade. The Lu family absolutely would not allow her to attempt to break through to foundation establishment without a foundation establishment elixir. Seeing this, Lu Miaoga gently nodded her head without speaking a word. Miaoga, Changxing should be back soon, right? At this time Lu Yuanding asked Lu Miaoga. The situation of the Lu family was not good, morale was low. If Lu Changxing, the 2nd grade talisman master, were present to preside over the clan, it could serve as a deterrent and stabilize the people's hearts and morale. Moreover, with Lu Changxing's guidance, Lu Miaoga would be able to advance to a 2nd grade talisman master even faster. If the Lu family had another 2nd grade talisman master to preside over them, relying on the talisman path, it might be possible to acquire another foundation establishment elixir within a few years. Changxing mentioned he'd be out for a year, he should be back soon. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaoga's lips slightly pursed as she couldn't help but miss Lu Changxing in her heart. She felt that with Lu Changxing by her side, her heart would be peaceful and much more at ease. Yes, the outside world is not calm either. I've heard that some of the Xiaohou family members who escaped have turned into demon cultivators, causing havoc. A few small families were attacked not long ago. Lu Yuanding nodded his head, sighed slightly, his face filled with worry. The mountain top was shrouded in a hazy morning mist, stirring without wind. The spiritual pond was still rippling, continuously undulating, accompanied by a crisp sound. After days and nights of hard work during this period, Lu Changxing's physical body, along with his mana nourished by the vital essence, the dragon roar origin, and the profound Yin Jade liquid, had reached the peak of the 3rd level of foundation establishment. Precious light flowed all around his body, encircled by spiritual light, undulating like waves one after another. Boom! At that moment, the liquid mana in his Qi Ocean core expanded to the limit of the initial stage of foundation establishment. The 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture began operating automatically, initiating the breakthrough. He was facing the bottleneck from the initial stage of foundation establishment to the middle stage. Feeling the threshold of the breakthrough challenge, the yin-yang small fish inside Lu Changxing, while refining the dragon roar origin and the profound Yin Jade liquid, surged into the core lake in his dantian, causing the lake's water to roil. Simultaneously, the spiritual pressure from the outside increased, and massive amounts of spiritual energy swept toward Lu Changxing to converge upon him. Boom, boom, boom. Under the influence of the yin-yang energies and the spiritual energy, the core lake whipped up waves and towering billows that lashed out against the yin-yang 5 elements foundation base. The bottleneck that trapped countless people before Lu Changxing was effortlessly and naturally broken through. The mana spirit lake expanded significantly in an instant, with droplets of liquid mana forming. The Tao Foundation's jade platform burst forth with spiritual light, crystal clear and appearing more solid and powerful. This is another breakthrough. By the side of the spiritual pond, with a pale face and wearing a blue dress, knees held by folded arms, Ling Zixiao sensed the tumult. She turned her head towards the pond where Lu Changxing, pressed by Nangong Meili, showed an expression of surprise on her face. It hadn't been long since Lu Changxing's previous breakthrough, and now he had broken through again. But thinking of Nangong Meili's profound charming body, she came to a realization. The profound jade liquid could help break through bottlenecks during core formation. For foundation establishment cultivators, it naturally had great benefits such as enhancing cultivation level and breaking through bottlenecks. This cultivation level, it isn't the late stage of foundation establishment, it's the middle stage? Ling Zixiao sensed the might of this mana and spiritual pressure, discerned Lu Changxing's true cultivation level, and was slightly startled with an incredulous look on her face. Previously she had always thought Lu Changxing was at the middle stage of foundation establishment. She hadn't expected that Lu Changxing had just broken through to the middle stage. That is to say, before this Lu Changxing's cultivation level was only at the second level. Thinking of how Lu Changxing, with merely foundation establishment second level cultivation, managed to kill 5 foundation establishment cultivators. And among them, one was the renowned purple-robed wanderer from Jiuxiao Immortal City. For a moment Ling Zixiao didn't know what to say. Such combat prowess and strength were simply outrageous. In her many years at Jiuxiao Immortal City, she had never heard of such a person. Even the heavenly sword-wielding true disciples of the renowned heavenly sword sect perhaps didn't possess such fighting power. If this achievement were to be known, Lu Changxing's name would likely become famous immediately. However, such a matter when it comes to him, seems quite reasonable. Ling Zixiao watched Lu Changxing, thought about his various performances, and murmured to herself in her heart. She felt that this level of power was not unacceptable. After all, he had long ago ceased to be measured by ordinary standards. Had it not been for Lu Changxing's usual demeanor and actions, which didn't really resemble that of an old monster reincarnating by seizing a body, she would have been tempted to suspect that Lu Changxing was an old nascent soul monster reincarnated. Meng Xiaochan, who was meditating with her eyes closed nearby, sensed this spiritual pressure and aura. She opened her beautiful eyes, somewhat surprised as she looked towards Lu Changxing. She didn't expect Lu Changxing to have broken through to the middle stage of foundation establishment already. Although she didn't know when Lu Changxing had made his breakthrough to foundation establishment, she knew that she had been a few years ahead of him. Having been nurtured by the 5 Poisons cult and Nangong Meili, her current cultivation level was still in the 3rd level of foundation establishment. But now Lu Changxing had made the breakthrough to the middle stage before her. As expected of Lu Lang, Meng Xiaochan looked at Lu Changxing, her eyes full of admiration and joy. She felt happy for Lu Changxing and somewhat proud. After all, it seemed she had a bit of credit for him being able to break through so effortlessly. Right? However, when she saw that Lu Changxing seemed to be looking towards her, she immediately closed her eyes, pursed her lips and pretended not to notice. Before, Lu Changxing had asked her to help hold on to the master, and then it had caused an unprecedented impact on her Tao heart. She was afraid that Lu Changxing would continue to ask her to help hold the master again. Chapter 527. Xiaochan, bring your master over. Underscore 5. Indeed, diligent practice pales in comparison to fortuitous opportunities. This is the true way to cultivate. Lu Changxing, seeing how easily he had broken through to the middle stage of foundation establishment, showed a faint smile on his face and sighed with emotion. In order to break through to the middle stage of foundation establishment more quickly, he had refined many elixirs suitable for the early stage of foundation establishment to advance his cultivation level. But at this moment they were basically unnecessary. Now that I've broken through to the middle stage of foundation establishment and have the profound origin bead at my side, I can easily defeat cultivators at the middle stage of foundation establishment, and I can even start to use magical treasures, Lu Changxing contemplated as he looked at the profound origin bead circling above his dantian. The small realm from the 2nd level to the 3rd level of foundation establishment didn't offer a significant improvement. However, breaking through from the early to the middle stage of foundation establishment had almost doubled his mana. With such an increase, amplified by the profound origin bead, his mana was almost comparable to that of a cultivator in the late stage of foundation establishment. A cultivator in the late stage of foundation establishment could barely use magical treasures. But because of the high consumption and the high cost of magical treasures, very few in the late stage of foundation establishment would use them. At most, they would use the embryos of magical treasures. However, Lu Changxing had the profound origin bead at his side. Not only was the increase in mana comparable to the late stage, but he could also store 10 times more mana. This allowed him to be more extravagant than other cultivators. It's a pity that my 100 Steeds Towering Pagoda Lock is a high-grade magical treasure. Right now I can only stimulate a lower-grade magical treasure at most. Lu Changxing thought of the 100 Steeds Towering Pagoda Lock in his system space, which he had not yet taken out. But this magical treasure was a high-grade treasure, something he couldn't stimulate at his current level. Immediately afterward, he extended his divine sense. He discovered that the limit of his divine sense had astonishingly increased to 230 zhang. He had surpassed even those who had just broken through to the late stage of foundation establishment. After briefly checking the details of his breakthrough, Lu Changxing rubbed the smooth and full mounds of snow and circulated his cultivation technique to end the dual cultivation therapy. In her coma, Nangong Meili's brows tightened, her dainty nose was covered in sweat droplets, her juicy lips parted slightly, exhaling an alluring, unconscious moan as soft as orchid breaths. Pop. Lu Changxing let go of the graceful Nangong Meili and prepared to consolidate his cultivation realm. Despite engaging in dual cultivation day and night, even with him cultivating the 100 refinements treasure body art, his body tough as iron, and nourished with essence the dragon roar origin, and the profound Yin Jade liquid, he still felt fatigue. Moderation was key to ensure lasting progress. He sent out his divine sense to check Nangong Meili's current condition, to see how effective his efforts during these days had been. The state of her physical frailty has almost alleviated. Her meridians and dantian are withered and strained, but with gradual nourishment they should also not be a problem. It's just this true elixir, still dim and lusterless, without the slightest change. Lu Changxing looked at the condition inside Nangong Meili and frowned slightly. With such prolonged dual cultivation, Nangong Meili's condition had indeed improved a lot. Probably after some more time she should be able to wake up. But as for the recovery of her true elixir cultivation level, it would probably still be difficult. Forget it, as long as she can wake up, that's enough. I'm just a foundation establishment junior cultivator. How could I understand the condition of a nascent soul immortal? Lu Changxing exhaled lightly and shook his head. He held the fragrant soft jade in his arms and walked out of the spiritual pool. It had to be said that Nangong Meili was truly a peerless beauty. After many days of dual cultivation, he had yet to reach a sage-like state. He still found Nangong Meili in his arms to be incredibly alluring, endlessly enchanting. He was somewhat looking forward to the dual cultivation healing after Nangong Meili awakened. Lu Lang, seeing that Lu Changxing had finally stopped, Ling Zixiao let out a sigh of relief and approached with concern. After all, Lu Changxing had been healing Nangong Meili, then had resolved his own issue with the dragon roar physique, before proceeding to heal both of them together. Throughout it all he hardly had any rest. Lu Lang, seeing this scene, Meng Xiaochan also immediately went forward with a worried expression. I have just had a breakthrough and need to consolidate my cultivation realm. Xiaochan, watch over your master for me. After I consolidate my cultivation, he'll continue healing your master, Lu Changxing spoke. All right, thank you, Lu Lang. Hearing this, Meng Xiaochan immediately nodded and responded, taking her master into her own arms from Lu Changxing's embrace. Lu Changxing turned to Ling Zixiao and asked with concern, Zixiao, are you all right now? After their recent session, Ling Zixiao's condition had returned to an extremely weakened state, needing further care, but he was still unclear about the current status of her dragon roar physique. I'm fine, my husband, you should focus on consolidating your cultivation, Ling Zixiao said with a smile, indicating that her concern was not urgent. All right. Hearing this, Lu Changxing nodded and sat down with his eyes closed to consolidate his cultivation. Chapter 528. Nurturing the True Elixir with Yin-Yang Energies, Nangong Meili wakes up. _1 Lu Changxing sat cross-legged, circulating the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture. He used the remaining primordial Yin vital energy and profound Yin Jade liquid inside his body to consolidate his cultivation level. After days of dual cultivation and refining, very little of the primordial Yin vital energy and profound Yin Jade liquid remained. It was no longer sufficient to support his continued breakthrough. Nevertheless, Lu Changxing was satisfied with advancing from the 2nd level to the 4th level of foundation establishment. After all, Most of his profound yin jade liquid was used to suppress the dragon roar physique and nourish the yin-yang energies. As the cultivation technique was fully activated, 7 elegant yet fierce strands of sword qi emerged from Lu Changsheng's body, swirling around him and exuding a sharp and piercing aura. Is this a sword cultivator? Lu Lang is actually a sword cultivator? Ling Zixiao and Meng Xiaochan looked at each other with a mix of surprise and speculation upon seeing Lu Changxing meditate and regulate his breathing. The sharp and domineering sword qi mana convinced them that Lu Changxing was a sword cultivator. Yet Lu Changsheng's usual demeanor, behavior and combat methods did not resemble those of a sword cultivator at all. They thought to themselves, could it be that Lu Changxing practiced sword techniques simply because he happened to possess an excellent sword scripture? Just how many secrets does he have? Ling Zixiao gazed at the meditating Lu Changxing. Then, supporting her cheek with her hand, she studied his handsome features. Usually Lu Changxing appeared gentle and refined, with a calm and detached demeanor. Like an orchid or a noble pine, his presence was indescribably comfortable and soothing, as though one was basking in the spring breeze. However, now as he fully activated the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword qi, his entire person revealed a sharp edge, and his eyes seemed to carry an additional hint of cold arrogance and dominance. Is this his true appearance? Ling Zixiao silently pondered. In her presence, Lu Changxing always behaved with genteel refinement, much like a modest gentleman. This made her feel uneasy. After all, she believed that a genius like Lu Changxing should naturally be very proud. In her view, this current sharp and arrogantly dominant demeanor was more fitting for Lu Changxing's temperament. Boom, boom, boom. Unaware of the women's thoughts, Lu Changxing fully activated the sword scripture, and mana surged through his body like a raging river. He also turned his mental spirit inward, inspecting his own qi ocean core and yin-yang 5 elements foundation base. In his opinion, the greatest enhancement from this breakthrough wasn't his cultivation level, but the foundation. After the yin-yang energies devoured and refined the 8 strands of dragon roar origin, they also consumed and refined a considerable amount of profound yin jade liquid. Now the yin-yang energies resembled 2 distinct yin and yang fish. Previously, the yin-yang energies would only merge into one to form a yin-yang fish when they were engaged in action. But now, in a normal state, they were nearly forming into little fish. The yin-yang little fish circled the 5-colored Dao platform to the east, emanating an inexplicable charm. My Dao foundation has become about 20% more robust than before. If my yin-yang energies can progress further and fully transform into yin-yang fish, my Dao foundation will undergo some sort of metamorphosis. Lu Changxing quietly experienced his Dao foundation and pondered in his heart. He felt that as long as he devours and refines enough yin-yang origin source, the yin-yang energies will completely transform into yin-yang fish. At that time, his Dao foundation would experience some kind of metamorphosis. As to what the metamorphosis would entail, he was not clear. But deep down he had such a feeling. However, yin-yang origin source is exceedingly rare. I am already fortunate to have obtained so much of it. To allow the yin-yang energies to devour enough yin-yang origin source and undergo metamorphosis will likely be very difficult. Lu Changxing knew just how scarce this type of yin-yang origin source was, and did not cling to expectations. 9 days later. Huff. Lu Changxing opened his eyes and expelled a turbulent breath, like a sword, stabilizing his cultivation realm. Congratulations to Lu Lang on breaking through to the middle stage of foundation establishment. Congratulations to Lu Lang on the great improvement of your mana. The 2 women beside the spiritual pond saw Lu Changxing awaken and immediately smiled, offering their congratulations. Hee, it's just a minor improvement, Lu Changxing said with a light laugh. Without you guys, I wouldn't have been able to break through. For Lu Changxing, waking up to care and congratulations felt rather pleasant. The path of cultivation is cold and lonely. One should be accompanied by a partner and a beloved. If on the path of cultivation one seeks only immortality, and cultivates alone to the end, accompanied only by loneliness, what is the point? Zixiao, how are you feeling now? Lu Changxing, flanked by the 2 women, sat down and inquired about Ling Zixiao's condition. He wanted to know how her dragon roar physique was after the extraction of the 8 strands of the dragon roar origin. My dragon roar physique is currently suppressed, but I feel that once I start cultivating, the dragon roar physique will still recover, said Ling Zixiao, her face pale and weak, with a hint of breathlessness. Now, as long as she takes good care of her body and refrains from cultivation, the dragon roar physique would remain stable. There would not be problems of scorching yang energy or withered meridians and dantian. Zishao, rest assured, I'll find a way to completely resolve your dragon roar physique, Lu Changxing reassured her with a warm voice and a nod. If before he felt that Ling Zixio's condition was very thorny, now with the dragon roar physique subdued through the profound Yin Jade liquid, he was confident in resolving the dragon roar physique. Once he returns, as long as Lu Miaoge cultivates the water of virtue technique to use the Tai True water to adjust Ling Zixio's body, to rejuvenate her frail body and withered meridians and dantian, then it would be possible to gradually resolve it through the dragon invocation technique. Then, not only would Ling Zixio's foundation establishment strength recover, but she would also be able to continue cultivating. Furthermore, an idea formed in Lu Changsheng's mind. Since the dragon roar physique was so tenacious and capable of self-healing recovery, could he perhaps not completely eradicate Ling Zixio's dragon roar physique? Chapter 529. Nurturing the true elixir with yin-yang energies, Nangong Meili wakes up. Maintaining the balance of Ling Zixio's dragon roar physique was essential to assist his cultivation. Meanwhile, Lu Changxing could use the dragon invocation technique to continually seize the dragon roar origin source and enhance his yin-yang energies. Of course, this was just an idea Lu Changxing had. The feasibility of it would still need to wait until Ling Zixio's condition was resolved, after which he could ask for her opinion. After chatting with Ling Zixiao for a while, Lu Changxing told her to rest well and then started to chat leisurely with Meng Xiaochan. Their relationship was one with a mixture of gratitude and grudges, and they didn't know much about each other. Now that she was going to be the mother of his child, there was no escaping that fact. It was natural for the two of them to get to know each other a little better and to develop their relationship. Lu Changxing held Meng Xiaochan in his arms. He asked about the mission and chatted about Jin Kingdom and the Five Poisons cult. While he knew about these matters in general terms, he definitely didn't know as much as Meng Xiaochan. Moreover, when chatting, it's always necessary to find some topics to talk about. Facing Lu Changsheng's initiative, Meng Xiaochan felt a bit shy. But still, she snuggled cutely against him and answered in a gentle whisper. Lu Changxing found Meng Xiaocan's demeanor very adorable and pinched her delicate and fair face. During this time, he had been in close contact with Ling Zixiao and Nangong Meili. Both women had tall, voluptuous figures. Especially Nangong Meili. Her figure was sinuous and enticing, ripe and juicy like a peach, irresistibly tempting. Holding Meng Xiaochan, who had the delicate body of a young girl, offered a different but equally delightful flavor. As they chatted lazily, Lu Changxing learned a bit about Jin Kingdom's culture and customs, as well as its three great demon sections. He grasped some of the differences between the two countries. The immortal sects of Jiang Country and the demon path sects of Jin Kingdom had their distinctions. Shiyu, I'm going to check on your master's condition, Lu Changxing said. After chatting for a while, Lu Changxing saw Nangong Meili at his side, dressed in a purple dress that made her slender figure infinitely tempting. Although Meng Xiaochan was reluctant to leave Lu Changxing's embrace, she wouldn't forget about her master because of it. Lu Changxing stood up, took hold of Nangong Meili's wrist and checked her condition. During these days, Meng Xiaochan had used her mana and elixir medicines to nurture her master's physical body and meridians. Even though it wasn't very effective, it still made some difference. After examining her condition, Lu Changxing lifted her skirt and began to heal her through massage. A light breeze rustled, and 2 or 3 fallen leaves were carried by the wind into the tranquil spirit pond, creating ripples. After a long time the wind picked up again. A tall pine tree nearby swayed in the wind, making a rustling sound. Several pine cones fell with a clatter, dropping into the pond and splashing little waves. Several days later, Lu Changxing, as usual, checked on Nangong Meili's situation. Her physical body and meridians were being nurtured and had largely moved past the critical period. However, her Qi Ocean core and true elixir remained dull and lacked luster. By the way, could my yin-yang energies have an effect on a nascent soul immortal's true elixir? Lu Changxing wondered as he looked at Nangong Meili's true elixir. His yin-yang energies could cleanse and repair others' Dao foundations. Initially, Xiao Xia's lunar primordial spirit foundation had a tiny crack in it. Under the baptism of his yin-yang energies, not only was it restored, but it also transformed into the lunar primordial spirit foundation. Lu Changxing had hypothesized that the reason his treatment of Xiao Xia's Dao foundation was so effective and resonant was partly because his yin-yang energies originated from her. Now, his yin-yang energies had also absorbed and refined Nangong Meili's profound yin jade liquid. Perhaps his yin-yang energies might have some additional effect on Nangong Meili. Moreover, The true elixir of a nascent soul immortal had some similarities with a foundation establishment cultivator's Tao foundation. Both were the foundation of a cultivator. If his yin-yang energies could cleanse a Tao foundation, perhaps they could have some effect on the true elixir as well? No sooner thought than done. Lu Changxing positioned her with her back to him, rubbing her snow-white bottom until it blushed like dawn. Then he transferred his yin-yang energies into Nangong Mili's body. He then embraced her limp body and sent his divine sense into her to observe the effect of the yin-yang energies, to see if they could have the desired effect on the true elixir as he had guessed. He saw his yin-yang energies swimming like two small fish slowly into Nangong Mili's Qi ocean core. They then gently made their way towards the dimly lit, purple true elixir. Along the way, a trace of yin-yang energies seeped into the dull true elixir. It actually works? Seeing this, Lu Changxing's hand instinctively squeezed her abundant and soft body, feeling it flow through his fingers. He noticed that the yin-yang energies were nourishing the true elixir. But as for the effects, he wasn't sure. This was something probably only Nangong Mili herself would be aware of. He quietly observed the yin-yang energies nourishing the true elixir. Eventually, as the yin-yang energies were depleted, the once dull and lightless purple true elixir seemed to brighten a shade at that moment. It seems to have some effect. Unexpectedly, my yin-yang energies can actually nourish the true elixir? Exclaimed Lu Changxing, somewhat surprised. He gained a new understanding of the effects of his yin-yang energies. Feeling his Tao foundation continuing to transform, he thought that in the future, his yin-yang energies might even be able to cleanse and repair a golden core. Pop. Then he let go of the limp Nangong Mili in his arms. Moderation leads to endurance and a long journey ahead. Transferring his yin-yang energies into someone else's body didn't cause Lu Changxing too much loss. Chapter 530. Nurturing the true elixir with yin-yang energies. Nangong Mili wakes up. It would take about 10 days to half a month to recover. But relatively speaking, it still consumes a lot of mana and vital energy. Because the yin-yang energies are not an endless source, they also require consumption of one's own resources to replenish. Moreover, to be safe and to avoid Nangong Mili seeking revenge after waking up from his treatment, Lu Changxing still needed to maintain his condition as much as possible. Otherwise, after working tirelessly day and night, if he was in a weakened state and then Nangong Mili woke up and attacked him, wouldn't it be embarrassing? However, he had promised Meng Xiaochan to save a life. Having gained enough benefits himself, Lu Changxing naturally would fulfill his duty to save that person. After meditating to recuperate, chatting intimately with Ling Zixiao and Meng Xiaochan to foster feelings, Lu Changxing continued healing and saving the person. Seeing that Nangong Mili had passed the critical period and had a certain capacity for self-healing, to help the other party recover consciousness sooner without affecting her foundation, Lu Changxing proceeded as planned. He performed the nirvana art, consuming his origin source energy to treat and organize the hidden injuries within Nangong Mili. Under the treatment of the nirvana art, Nangong Mili's thick long eyelashes fluttered slightly, her mouth parted to release a soft, charming sound. Lu Changxing, however, didn't pay much attention to this light moan. In these days, Nangong Mili often made unconscious moans. Nangong Mili's blurry consciousness began to awaken under Lu Changxing's intervention. Her beautiful brows furrowed slightly, her body stiffened, and her delicate nose emitted a series of whining sounds. The next moment, Nangong Mili's consciousness awakened. Her phoenix eyes gently opened, her pupils were hazy, and from her red lips came an alluring moan that could make one's bones go soft. "What are you doing?" Nangong Mili's hair was in disarray, her cheeks flushed red like the dawn, her eyelashes trembled, and the phoenix eyes that had just opened immediately showed shock and anger. A wave of indescribable panic rose in her heart. Her memory stayed at the moment when the core formation immortal attacked. She had instructed her disciple, Meng Xiaochan, to use the teleportation talisman to escape. But now, facing such circumstances made her feel a surge of shock, anger, and panic. After all, she realized instantly that she was currently in a very weak state. Her limbs were limp, her graceful body lacking the strength to move. Her entire tall and exquisite body could only be shaken and jolted without the strength to struggle. Coming from the demon path, she was fully aware that being in such a situation, it would be extremely difficult for her to escape the danger. "Master, you're awake." Just at this moment, a light and joyous voice rang out, startling Nangong Mili. It wasn't just her who fell into someone's evil clutches. Her disciple Meng Xiaochan, was also in the same plight? Thinking of her current state and being manhandled in front of her disciple, Nangong Mili's body trembled with humiliation, and a murderous intent appeared in her eyes. "You're awake so soon?" Lu Changxing, seeing Nangong Mili awaken, was a bit surprised as well. Based on his examination, he had deduced that Nangong Mili would awake only after a few more rounds of treatment. He had not expected her to wake up now. Could it be due to the previous effects of the yin-yang energies nurturing true elixir? Lu Changxing guessed inwardly. He also didn't care too much. When she awoke, she simply awoke. Lu Changxing remained silent for a moment before continuing to heal Nangong Mili's wounds. He then took her pale jade foot, which had a faint blush and pearl-like toes, into his palm, introducing a new method of treatment. Nangong Mili struggled subconsciously to resist. But the resistance was minimal. Whether it was due to a lack of strength or worry about being seen by her disciple, she could only allow the actions to proceed. And after a soft whimper, she bit her snowy white teeth tightly against her red lips. She didn't want to make a humiliating sound that might shame her in front of her disciple. "Master, how are you feeling?" Then, when Meng Xiaochan received no reply from her master, she continued to ask out of concern. "SSS." Lu Changxing could clearly feel that, with Meng Xiaoquan's voice, Nangong Mili's whole body instantly tensed up, making him involuntarily gasp in shock as he was healing her. "I'm fine." Nangong Mili's red lips moved slightly, her voice weak. But a sudden impact forced a long, charming moan from her mouth. In that instant, Nangong Mili trembled all over. A surge of humiliation and fury rose uncontrollably in the depths of her heart. She, a nascent soul immortal. One of the Heaven Spider emissary from the Five Poisons cult, one of the three great demon path sects of Jin Kingdom, how esteemed was her status? And at this moment she was being humiliated and trampled upon like this. Nangong Mili's beautiful face was flushed red like rosy clouds, full of seduction. But her long, narrow phoenix eyes were ice-cold, filled with murderous intent. She wanted to flay the person behind her 1,000 times, tear his body into pieces, and imprison him in the goo pit to suffer the agonizing pain of 1,000 insects devouring his soul. "Master, don't worry, Lu Lang is healing you." Meng Xiaochan, hearing the crackling sounds like dry firewood burning intensely beside her, assured her own master. "Healing?" Upon hearing this, Nangong Mili's heart skipped a beat. She wondered if her disciple was out of her mind. But the next moment she could feel that indeed, along with Lu Changxing's rhythm, an origin source of vital breath was slowly entering her body, healing her. However, this method of healing made Nangong Mili feel incredibly humiliated and enraged. "You, let go of me, I don't need you to heal me." Nangong Mili turned to look, her disheveled hair cascading over her creamy smooth shoulders as she spoke in a feeble voice. At this moment, the core formation master, whose beauty and allure were like a dream, had her fair complexion blushing and transparent, her charms rippling and ready to drip like water. Her misty, dreamlike phoenix eyes were indeed like captivating silk threads, possessing a magical charm that engulfed one completely. A few strands of sweat-dampened black hair clung to her pale cheeks, and her slightly parted lips added a pitiful yet enchanting allure to her appearance. In such a state, with her weak and charmingly melodious voice, she had not an ounce of authority. It was like an ordinary couple quarreling, as if saying, "I don't want to play with you anymore." SSS. Lu Changxing, looking at Nangong Mili's stunning beauty and dreamlike eyes, couldn't help but shiver with cold. Even though he was battle-hardened, facing the awakened Nangong Mili, he too felt somewhat unsteady. "If it weren't for Xiao Chan's request, do you think I'd be willing to heal you?" Lu Changxing took a deep breath, his energy sinking into his dantian, and raised his hand to strike the now crimson blushing white expanse before him, signaling her to settle down a bit. Chapter 531. How is there an extra child? Undersir 1, smack. The slap left Nangong Mili's delicate and enchanting face in shock, her phoenix-like eyes displaying an incredulous hue. She had never expected Lu Changxing to dare treat her this way. Such humiliation, trampling over her dignity. Her fragrant and sweaty body trembled incessantly, pale and weak, and her seductive and charming face was somewhat twisted, with cold murderous intent flashing in her eyes. However, upon glancing back at Lu Changxing, facing such humiliation actually made her heart pound violently, stirring up indescribable emotions within her. Lu Changxing noticed the murderous intent in Nangong Mili's eyes and raised an eyebrow. He hadn't expected Nangong Meili to dare harbor thoughts of killing him. It seemed the effect of the Lockhart goo was a bit lacking. He immediately slapped her again, making her recognize the situation. Smack. The snowy and rosy grinding stone surface immediately raised layer upon layer of waves. Through the information about the previous Demon Path incident in Jiuxiao Immortal City and chatting with Meng Xiaochan, Lu Changxing had gained some understanding of Nangong Meili's temperament. He knew that although she appeared unrestrained and seductively charming, she was actually cold-hearted and ruthless on the inside. Aside from Meng Xiaochan, who had gained her close affection and was willing to commit for her, she was heartlessly indifferent to everyone else. During the initial Jiuxiao Immortal City incident, a nascent soul immortal had died trying to save her, and she didn't even blink an eye. So, in this case, even though he was helping her heal out of a healer's compassionate heart, she was not likely to be grateful and repay the kindness. Since kind assistance hadn't worked, he decided to change his approach. After all, the Lockhart goo was in effect. Once the bonds of affection were completely locked in place, he could then break into her inner heart and melt the ice in her heart, taking her home to be the mother of his children without haste. Of course, Lu Changxing couldn't deny that Nangong Meili's enchanting sensuality and pitiful face, coupled with her dominating and lofty regality, truly incited a desire to severely ravish her, so he couldn't control himself for a moment. Nangong Meili's black hair was disheveled, her rosy cheeks icy, and her narrow phoenix eyes revealed a determined and merciless look. She said coldly, "Scoundrel, you humiliate me so, do you believe I will fight you to the death?" "Fight to the death? Who are you trying to scare?" Lu Changxing scoffed upon hearing this. He knew very well that Nangong Meili was extremely weak at the moment, her true elixir dim. She couldn't even self-destruct if she wanted to. Saying that, he reached out and gave her full snowy peaks a squeeze, making her acknowledge the current situation. But he didn't go too far. After all, Meng Xiaochan was still there. She was, in a way, the future mother of his child. He didn't want to truly drive her into a corner and anger her. "Master Lu Lang, please don't fight." Meng Xiaochan saw that as soon as her master woke up, she began arguing with her lover. Immediately, she bit her lip and stepped forward to hold Nangong Meili's soft and powerless hand, saying softly, "Master, it's all Xiaoquan's fault. Please don't blame Lu Lang. Xiaochan am fine." Nangong Meili, seeing her disciple like this, misty-eyed and harboring murderous intent, gently closed her eyes, resigned and sighed. She knew that anger was pointless given her current circumstances. It was better to wait until her strength was restored and then think of a way. Otherwise, continuing to make a fuss would only make things worse for herself. Immediately, she used the little strength she had regained to cover her pale and seductive lips. Refusing to make a sound, she lay there like a dead person, allowing Lu Changxing to do as he pleased. The night deepened. Pop. Lu Changxing released Nangong Meili, limp in his arms and her snowy peaks already flushed red like the dawn, and called out to Meng Xiaochan, "Xiaochan. Master, how do you feel now?" Meng Xiaochan immediately came forward to support her master. Nangong Meili's eyebrows were tightly furrowed, her entire body ached, and her stunningly enchanting face was full of shame and rage. But in the face of her disciple's concern and care, she slightly relaxed her brow and, with a slightly hoarse voice, said, "Xiaochan am fine." As she spoke, she tried to stand up, only to draw in a sharp breath due to a sharp pain in her private parts. The pain made her narrow phoenix eyes flash with anger. She was painfully aware that this was not the first time she had been humiliated and trampled upon by Lu Changxing. In the time she had been unconscious, she had already been played with and trampled upon by Lu Changxing in every possible way. Her profound Yin Jade liquid had also been taken away by this scoundrel. "I, Nangong Meili, swear I will kill him. I'll flay him alive, making him suffer the agony of thousand poisons consuming his heart." Nangong Meili swore in her heart. Her beautiful eyes involuntarily glanced at Lu Changxing. That look made her heart tremble. Again she felt an indescribable sensation in her heart. Why has the bond of affection increased so much today? Lu Changxing felt Nangong Meili's gaze in an instant. Somehow, he sensed that the bond of affection between Nangong Meili and himself had inexplicably tightened a bit. Could it be that because she had been in a coma before, the Lockhart goo wasn't very effective? Lu Changxing considered as he looked at the cold and enchanting Nangong Meili, with her piercing phoenix eyes. Meng Xiaochan and Ling Zixiao had both told him about the general effects of the Lockhart goo. If the person it bound was too far from the goo master, the effect would be minimized. Only if the two were constantly together would the effect of the Lockhart goo be maximized. But whether being in a comatose state would affect the effectiveness of the Lockhart goo, he wasn't quite sure. What are you looking at? Nangong Mili, seeing Lu Changxing still looking at her, became angry, her pale and enchanting face utterly cold. But her voice was weak and powerless, even slightly husky and charming, truly lacking any deterrence. It even made Lu Changxing want to ravage her again. Master, Meng Xiaochan immediately hugged her master. Chapter 532, How is there an extra child? Then he turned to Lu Changxing with an apologetic face and said, Lu Lang, you've worked hard, please rest well now. Lu Changxing did not make things difficult for Meng Xiaochan and smiled gently, walking over to where Ling Zixiao was. Seeing Lu Changxing walk away, Nangong Mili asked Meng Xiaochan through a voice transmission what exactly was going on. Meng Xiaochan, facing her master's question, claimed that Lu Changxing was her Dao companion. It was only because she had gone to Jiang country that the two had separated. After using the teleportation talisman, she encountered danger, and it was Lu Changxing who saved her. At that time, Nangong Mili's situation was extremely dangerous, and her life was hanging by a thread. She had no other option but to ask Lu Changxing for help. But Lu Changxing was just a foundation establishment cultivator. The only way to save someone was through dual cultivation using a secret technique. Faced with such a situation, it was only out of helplessness that she had let Lu Changxing do such a thing to her master. She hoped that Nangong Mili would not blame Lu Changxing. Master, I'm sorry Xiaochan has deceived you. After Meng Xiaochan finished speaking, a surge of guilt washed over her heart. The reason she fabricated such a lie and didn't tell the truth about the Lockhart goo was that she knew her master's personality. Once the matter of the Lockhart goo was told, her master would be on guard and might be able to break free while the Lockhart goo was weak and the emotional ties were not yet formed. If by then her master wanted to kill Lu Changxing, he would be in danger. It's alright Xiaochan, your master doesn't blame you, you've had a hard time these days. Nangong Mili sighed slightly. As a nascent soul immortal and demonic path cultivator, she was not the kind of person to cling stubbornly to chastity and forsake life. But waking up to find herself manipulated and humiliated in such a manner was difficult for her to accept calmly. Now, after hearing Meng Xiaocan's explanation and understanding the causes and consequences, she knew that the situation must have been extremely dangerous. Meng Xiaochan had no choice but to resort to this strategy. At least, through the recent humiliation, she felt that Lu Changxing was truly sincere in healing her, improving her condition somewhat. If the healing continued like this daily, her injuries could recover by 60 to 70% in a few months. But to heal like this every day, would she not fall apart? No, even if he were made of iron, he couldn't keep healing her like this, could he? Wait, what am I even thinking about? Nangong Mili gently closed her phoenix eyes, casting aside the distracting thoughts in her mind. After a brief chat with Meng Xiaochan and understanding her current situation, Nangong Mili took out spiritual medicine from her storage ring and ingested it. She began to meditate and heal herself. Now that she was awake, she naturally could heal herself and didn't need to rely entirely on Lu Changxing. Elsewhere. Lu Lang, now that this nascent soul immortal has woken up, it's not troublesome, is it? Ling Zixiao asked Lu Changxing through a voice transmission after seeing Nangong Mili start to meditate and recuperate. Even though they had the Lockhart goo, she was still somewhat concerned about Nangong Mili's condition. After all, this was a nascent soul immortal, imposing and unattainable on ordinary days. Even if she was in a weakened state now, she should not be underestimated. What you said makes sense. Lu Changxing, hearing this, thought it made a lot of sense. Through the Lockhart goo, he could roughly sense that the emotional bond between him and Nangong Mili was still very weak. Nowhere near as strong as the relationship between Meng Xiaochan and himself. Whether this thread of emotion could restrain Nangong Mili was truly uncertain. After all, Nangong Mili had already harbored the intention to kill him. Right away he stood up and came in front of Nangong Mili. What are you going to do? Dressed in a purple gauze skirt and with a graceful figure, the meditating Nangong Mili's heart jumped when she heard Lu Changxing approaching, and her eyes flew open with a frigid expression, saying coldly, I promised Xiaochan that I would heal you. However, just to be safe, you need to establish a heart demon oath and sign a spiritual contract, ensuring that you will be honest during this time and not harbor any malice against me, Lu Changxing said with a faint smirk, looking at Nangong Mili's fierce facade. Scoundrel, who asked you to heal me? Upon hearing this, Nangong Mili's immediate recollection of the previous humiliation, when she was toyed with by Lu Changxing, ignited her anger, and her eyes blazed with killing intent. During her meditation just now, she could still feel soreness all over her body, a dull pain in her lower body, making it difficult to calm her heart. "Master!" Seeing this, Meng Xiaochan immediately stopped her master's arm and called out. Nangong Mili really wanted to act at this moment. She might be very weak, but she still had a few life-saving items. But Meng Xiaochan was still there. Lu Changxing, after all, was her disciple's Dao companion. If she had a deadly confrontation with him, the most heartbroken and distressed would be Meng Xiaochan. Moreover, without her, it would be very difficult for Meng Xiaochan to escape the pursuit of the Heavenly Sword sect, leave Jiang country and return to the Five Poisons cult. It would be a matter of life and death. Who? Nangong Mili took a couple of deep breaths, her face cold as frost, and made the heart demon oath. She swore that in the coming time she would not take action against or harbor ill intent towards Lu Changxing. Good, and now this spiritual contract. Seeing this, Lu Changxing took out the spiritual contract. "You bastard, don't push too far." The murderous look in Nangong Mili's eyes almost became palpable. She had already taken the heart demon oath, yet Lu Changxing was still asking her to sign a spiritual contract. To her, this was nothing but naked humiliation. "Lu Lang, don't worry, the master will definitely not harm you." Meng Xiaochan looked up at Lu Changxing, her eyes full of a pleading tone, speaking in a low and humble voice. Nangong Mili had already agreed not to take action against Lu Changxing. Now that she had made the heart demon oath, Meng Xiaochan also believed her master truly would not act against Lu Changxing. Chapter 533. How is there an extra child? Fine. Lu Changxing, upon hearing Meng Xiaoquan's words, did not insist. He felt that having this heart demon oath was adequate. Moreover, his spiritual contract was only of the second rank. To Nangong Mili, the nascent soul immortal, it might not even be useful. As long as Nangong Mili restored her cultivation level, she would have nothing to fear from such a spiritual contract. In the days that followed, Lu Changxing provided daily healing to Nangong Mili, and on occasion to Ling Zixiao as well. Nangong Mili was naturally very reluctant to receive such healing, but faced with Meng Xiaoquan's earnest persuasions and considering that both her disciple and she were still facing the manhunt from the Heavenly Sword sect, she had no choice but to comply helplessly, thinking of recovering as soon as possible and then leaving quickly. However, to maintain the last vestiges of dignity and pride deep in her heart, Nangong Mili always had her beautiful eyes tightly shut, almost as a dead person would, allowing Lu Changxing to do as he wished. Seeing Nangong Mili's attitude, Lu Changxing naturally would not coax her nicely and instead, would relentlessly tease her. After all, her appearance, her personality, as well as her status as a nascent soul immortal, involuntarily stirred different thoughts in his heart. Thoughts like conquest, domination, training. Thus, every time during their dual cultivation, seeing Nangong Mili's breathtakingly beautiful and seductive face flush with crimson, holding back with all her might, with her snow-white teeth firmly biting her lips, and upon his teasing, occasionally letting out soul-stirring light moans, Lu Changxing felt extremely accomplished. Moreover, Lu Changxing discovered that when he teased Nangong Mili, causing her emotions to fluctuate greatly, the connection between their Lockhart Gu became noticeably tighter. However, despite the teasing, he did not delay the healing process. He too thought of resolving Nangong Mili's situation as soon as possible, and then heading home earlier. The night was like water, the moonlight like mist. After ending the dual cultivation healing session, Nangong Mili, with a coldly beautiful face, stepped into the spirit pool to cleanse her snow-white, jade-like skin. As a nascent soul immortal, having regained some mana, her body would be devoid of dust. But after every dual cultivation session, she would come to the spirit pool to scrub her body, which was as white as sheep-fat jade. As if through this method she wanted to wash away the skin-to-skin blending, and the shame, humiliation, and resentment in her heart. Nangong Mili gently scrubbed her snow-white skin, feeling a bit of lingering pain in her private area. Damned bastard! Her brows furrowed, and a flash of anger appeared in her narrow, clear phoenix eyes. As a nascent soul immortal, even without having undergone body refinement, her physical body was extraordinary. But that bastard deliberately lashed out at her with great force, as if he wanted to trample her to death, making it so that even her core formation stage body could hardly bear such lashing, causing her private area to always have a faint, lingering pain. She slightly raised her phoenix eyes, looking towards the shore at Lu Changxing, who was meditating with closed eyes, handsome in appearance and distinguished in demeanor. Her heart trembled and her seductive face was filled with shame and anger. Nangong Mili swore. She would return all the pain he had inflicted upon her, doubled. Just then Nangong Mili's brows furrowed slightly. A rare seriousness appeared on her seductive and coldly beautiful face. Her palm, in the warm spring water, gently caressed her lower abdomen. In her narrow phoenix eyes, surprise, doubt, anger, shame, and disgust surfaced. What's going on here? How did a child come into the picture? That day, after ending the dual cultivation, Lu Changxing boredly scanned his system panel. But when he looked at the offspring section of his system panel, he was completely stunned. Offspring 153/154. The number of offspring indicated that he had one more unborn child. Where did this unborn child of mine come from? Could it be? Lu Changxing pondered in suspicion, his gaze shifting toward Nangong Mili and Ling Zixiao. During this period he had only been intimate with the two of them. Therefore the child could only belong to one of the two women. But dual cultivation usually doesn't lead to pregnancy. Lu Changxing's brow furrowed slightly. Logically speaking, the process of dual cultivation where yin and yang converge hardly ever results in pregnancy. Yet the system had notified him and it definitely couldn't be false. Is it Nangong Mili or Ling Zixiao? Lu Changxing mused internally, feeling that the likelihood of Nangong Mili being pregnant was greater. Because during this time he had been dual cultivating with Nangong Mili every day. During which it seems he had teased her, deliberately stopping the dual cultivation. Moreover, due to physical reasons, Ling Zixiao was extremely weak, making it difficult for her to conceive. You dog of a man, what are you staring at? In the spirit pool, Nangong Mili, who was cleansing her voluptuous body, saw Lu Changxing staring blankly at her and lashed out with a majestic and enchanting face as cold as frost. She had never had a good attitude toward Lu Changxing. Especially after regaining some of her strength, she had always been cold and harsh toward him. Faced with this, Lu Changxing naturally didn't coddle her and always retorted tit for tat. Sometimes, Lu Changxing even wondered if Nangong Mili was deliberately provoking him, so that he would. However, this time, faced with Nangong Mili's scolding, Lu Changxing didn't retort coldly as usual. Instead, his gaze was gentle and he offered a mild smile. Although in Nangong Mili's heart he was detested and she wished she could tear him apart limb from limb, his handsome face and his smile, as soothing as a spring breeze, were like magnets that irresistibly drew her gaze and made her heart flutter involuntarily. Nangong Mili snorted coldly and without looking at Lu Changxing's face, closed her eyes as she watched her flawless, exquisite body. Ling Zixiao, standing nearby, watched the scene with a smile. There's a saying that goes, the player is blind but the spectator sees clearly. As a spectator, she could clearly sense that Nangong Mili's attitude towards Lu Changxing had changed significantly from the beginning. These changes might have gone unnoticed by Lu Changxing, but Ling Zixiao saw them all clearly. She knew the effects of the Lockhart Gu were showing. However, in Ling Zixiao's eyes, apart from the Lockhart Gu, Lu Changxing's appearance and temperament played a significant role. This handsome face and extraordinary demeanor were very attractive. Not to mention anyone else, she herself was definitely one of them. If she had encountered Lu Changxing looking ugly or mediocre when they first met, she would have never agreed to his method for resolving the dragon roar physique. She would likely have hesitated for a long time, then traded a secret technique or attempted other methods. It's unimaginable that she would have agreed so decisively and become intimate with Lu Changxing that very day. Ling Zixiao raised her arm, propped up her cheek, and quietly observed Lu Changxing's peerless face. She thought that for someone like Lu Changxing, attracting romantic attention was simply a matter of course. After all, in this world all things have their beauty and ugliness. Most people love beauty and pursue it. Cultivators are no exception. How many cultivators have forsaken high-grade cultivation methods in favor of techniques that beautify and maintain their appearance? Or even when their resources were sparse, they still spent a considerable number of spirit stones on purchasing spirit pills for beauty and youth. What are you looking at? Lu Changxing, seeing that Ling Zixiao kept staring at him, chuckled lightly and approached to wrap his arms around her, wanting to see if she might be pregnant. Even though he guessed that Nangong Mili was the more likely one, it was also possible that Ling Zixiao was the one who was pregnant. Chapter 534, Lang Jun is so handsome, naturally I can never get enough of looking at you. Ling Zixiao nestled into Lu Changsheng's arms very naturally, smiling faintly as she spoke. I find that the same is true for Zixiao. Lu Changsheng heard this and chuckled softly. He then used his mana to warm and nourish Ling Zixiao's body and meridians, checking the condition of her body. Facing Lu Changsheng's examination, Ling Zixiao didn't mind. Her full yet pallid face gently rested against Lu Changsheng's chest, her body and mind relaxing, allowing him to check her over. Because her body had always been in a weak state, she couldn't help but feel insecure. During her intimate moments with Lu Changsheng, not only did she feel as comfortable as if bathed in the spring breeze, but she also felt a profound sense of security, utterly tranquil and peaceful. It seems that the child truly is Nangong Mili's. Lu Changsheng had checked Ling Zixiao's body thoroughly but hadn't detected any signs of the new life being nurtured. His brow furrowed slightly, his thoughts complicated as he looked towards Nangong Mili in the spiritual pool. Being able to get such a nascent soul immortal pregnant, to bear his child, was naturally a surprise to him. After all, it's very difficult for cultivators of that level to have children. Once pregnant, the spiritual root talent of the child would surely be extraordinary. But given Nangong Mili's temperamental nature, whether she would want the child was uncertain to him. Moreover, taking Nangong Mili home now would be quite troublesome. The Lockhart Gu only had a certain effect on Nangong Mili. It hadn't reached the extent it had with Meng Xiaochan. So, taking Nangong Mili home was not realistic. The likelihood that she would willingly go back with him was slim. Unless he used forceful methods. But now that she was to be the mother of his child, how could he possibly use forceful tactics to commit such coercive actions? Moreover, once Nangong Mili was home and her injuries and strength recovered, he really had no way to restrain such a nascent soul immortal. By then it wouldn't be certain who held the say in his household. If the nascent soul immortal felt displeased and set out to do something, he would be unable to stop her. Also, Nangong Mili's identity posed a big problem. She was the Heaven Spider emissary of the Five Poisons cult, one of the three great demon sects of Jin Kingdom. He didn't have any prejudices or discrimination against demonic path cultivators. As long as she became the mother of his child, let alone the demon path, even if she were of the demon race, he would treat her no differently and still happily take her home. But the problem was, Nangong Mili and Meng Xiaochan were currently being hunted and pursued by the Heavenly Sword sect. Should her identity become exposed and tracked down, his entire family would face danger. Sigh. Lu Changsheng let out a soft sigh within his heart. Looking at Nangong Mili in the spiritual pool, his heart was filled with complexity. He didn't know how to handle Nangong Mili's situation. If he didn't take her home, he felt uneasy. Nangong Mili, bathing in the spiritual pool, keenly sensed Lu Changsheng looking at her. She turned her head and met his gaze. His look gave her chills down her spine and nearly made her skin crawl. Immediately, she snorted coldly, raised her slender hands lightly, and sacred light spread around her, as she donned a purple dress and walked on her gleaming feet back to the shore to sit in meditation and heal her injuries. When she closed her eyes, however, the image of Lu Changsheng's gaze and smile from earlier appeared in her mind. The chill in her heart was accompanied by an inexplicable favorable impression of Lu Changsheng, rousing indescribable feelings deep within her. Am I actually finding this damn man appealing? Nangong Mili frowned slightly, feeling as if she had lost her mind. To think she'd find this despicable man inexplicably agreeable. Thinking of the humiliations Lu Changsheng had inflicted upon her these past days, her pale and enchanting face showed a trace of a cold and secluded frostiness. Suppressing the odd sensation inside her, she cursed the damned man inwardly. One day she, Nangong Mili, would pay back every humiliation, every trampling 100-fold. Lu Lang, what's wrong? Ling Zixiao, snuggling against Lu Changsheng, sensed his change in mood and softly inquired. It's nothing, just suddenly feeling homesick. Lu Changsheng placed his chin gently on Ling Zixiao's silky hair and spoke softly. Originally, when he set out, he and Lu Miaoga and others had agreed his trip would last at most a year. But time was delayed in Jiuxiao Immortal City because of the Li sisters and Ling Zixiao's matters. And now, time was further delayed due to Nangong Mili and Meng Xiaoquan's affairs. In a few more days this journey would reach a year. The Qingyun region has been troubled by events related to the demon path, no longer as peaceful as before. Having not gone back for so long, Sister Miaoga and the others must be worried. Lu Changsheng sighed inwardly, longing to return home soon. He also thought of Qingyun sect's conquest over the Xiaohou clan, which led to the destruction of many foundation establishment families. Now that he had Ling Zixiao, the array master, he felt ready for everything, just missing the final element. Once back, he could find a suitable location for a second-rank spiritual land and establish his own family, providing his children with a much better environment for growth. Continue reading at Empire the next day. Lu Changxing, as usual, engaged in dual cultivation with Nangong Mili to heal their injuries. Now that he knew Nangong Mili was pregnant, he naturally couldn't play around with her as vigorously as before. His actions were extremely gentle, afraid of hurting her or the child. During the process, Lu Changxing took the opportunity to check Nangong Mili for signs of pregnancy. But to his bewilderment, he couldn't sense any life aura of a fetus being nurtured within Nangong Mili. What's going on? Lu Changxing was baffled. How come there was no child in Ling Zixiao's belly, and none in Nangong Mili's either? Could it be that the child was gone? Search * The Oval Fire. @ website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 535, Scumbag Get Lost. Lu Changxing's mental spirits stirred slightly as he checked the system interface. Offspring, 153/154, it's still there. Lu Changxing looked at the offspring section of the system interface. Could it be that she has only recently conceived and the life essence hasn't yet started to flourish? No, that's not right. If the system has displayed it, she must be pregnant. Could it be she's hidden it? Lu Changxing silently guessed in his heart whether Nangong Mili had concealed the aura of her pregnancy. After all, as a nascent soul immortal, once she became pregnant, she would undoubtedly notice it immediately. It's impossible for a nascent soul immortal to be unaware of her own pregnancy. Wait a minute, if she didn't immediately get rid of the child after becoming pregnant, does that mean she's willing to give birth to this child? Lu Changxing's heart paused as he suddenly thought. Given Nangong Mili's character, if she didn't want the child, she would probably reject it as soon as she noticed. But I saw through the system yesterday that there was one more child. Now that the child is still there, which means it hasn't been aborted, Nangong Mili doesn't seem to want to get rid of it for the time being. If Nangong Mili is planning to keep this child, considering her personality, she wouldn't want others to know, especially not me. This also seems to make sense. With this thought, Lu Changxing felt that things must be as he surmised. After all, Ling Zixiao would definitely not conceal such a matter from him, and it would be difficult to hide from his divine sense. But as a nascent soul immortal, now somewhat recovered, Nangong Mili should find it not too difficult to hide the child in her womb from him. At this moment, Nangong Mili was also very bewildered and confused. What happened to Lu Changxing today? Why has he suddenly changed his behavior? Every move he made was so tender it was uncharacteristic. Even his gaze upon her was filled with a gentle warmth, affectionate and loving, which sent chills down her spine and made her skin crawl. She couldn't help but remember the way Lu Changxing looked at her last night, that gaze. It seemed that from that moment, the way he looked at her was somewhat off. What's going on? Could it be he knows? Nangong Mili was puzzled and faintly guessed. But she felt it was unlikely. After all, as soon as this child showed signs of life, she concealed its aura immediately. How could Lu Changxing have possibly sensed it? If he really knows? At this moment, a few traces of irritability surged within Nangong Mili. Upon sensing the pregnancy, her first thought was to abort. Her disdain for Lu Changxing was profound. How could she wish to have his offspring? But after much inner turmoil, she ultimately decided to have the child. One reason was the instinctive stir within her upon becoming a mother for the first time, a heart moved by compassion. Additionally, she grew up lonely, adopted from a young age by her master, who raised her as his own daughter. After her master passed away, she felt an aching solitude and missed those bygone days deeply. She wished to raise a daughter herself, like her master did for her. But her aversion to men was so intense. She naturally had no desire to seek someone out for the purpose of having a child. As for adopting a child, that depended on circumstances and was not something that could be forced. Therefore, upon meeting Meng Xiaochan and learning she was a descendant of her master, she took Meng Xiaochan as a disciple, treating her as her master once treated her. This was why she, usually cold and unfeeling, was willing to make such sacrifice for Meng Xiaochan. Now, an unexpected child has brought her a sense of fulfillment. Therefore, after much contemplation, she decided to keep the child. But she definitely didn't want Lu Changxing to know about this child. After all, this was her child, Nangong Mili's child. What did it have to do with that dog of a man, Lu Changxing? To prevent Lu Changxing from learning about the child, and to protect the child from any harm that the dog of a man, Lu Changxing, might cause, she hid the child's signs of vitality and guarded it from the moment she became aware of the pregnancy. This would ensure that Lu Changxing remained unaware of the child's existence. But now, Lu Changxing's sudden change of behavior left her at a loss. She had the vague feeling that Lu Changxing knew about the child, which could explain his dramatic transformation. This made her very restless. It even brought on the thought of not wanting the child anymore. Lu Changxing tenderly healed Nangong Mili's wounds with his actions. He had harbored some ulterior motives towards Nangong Mili before, so he had never been considerate of her feelings. But now that she was the mother of his child, his attitude naturally changed. Thinking back on his past actions, Lu Changxing felt quite ashamed. He thought to himself that as a man, why should he behave so pettily with her? He knew that during pregnancy, a woman's emotions can be quite unstable. If he annoyed her and she took her frustrations out on the child, that would be terrible. Looking at the blushing, enchanting face of Nangong Mili, Lu Changxing said tenderly, "Mili, I have an origin source that can nurture the true elixir, it might help you recover sooner." As he spoke, Lu Changxing wrapped his arms around her slender waist and transferred the yin-yang energies into Nangong Mili's body. His yin-yang energies had long since recovered. But Nangong Mili, on guard against him, was reluctant to open her Qi Ocean core. Therefore he could not use the yin-yang energies to nurture her true elixir. Additionally, Lu Changxing himself felt that the ability of the yin-yang energies to nurture the true elixir was astonishing. He was temporarily unwilling to reveal this to Nangong Mili. Of course, he also harbored the thought of not wanting Nangong Mili to recover too quickly. Chapter 536, Scoundrel, Get Lost. After all, he had speculated that Nangong Mili's early awakening was related to him nourishing her nurturing elixir with the yin-yang energies. If she recovered too quickly, it might affect the effectiveness of the Lockhart Gu. Now that she had become the mother of his child, Lu Changxing naturally had to put on a good show and gain her approval. He also wanted Nangong Mili to recover sooner. Otherwise, having injuries all the time wouldn't be good for the child in her belly. Shwa. Nangong Mili's cheeks were flushed like sunset clouds, her beautiful eyes tightly shut, allowing Lu Changxing to do as he pleased. But at that moment, under Lu Changxing's gentle call of Mili, her jade-like face slightly stiffened, and her heart trembled. Lu Changxing calling her name so tenderly made her, seemingly lost in the clouds, look somewhat bewildered. How many years had it been? Apart from her master who always called her little Mili, no one else had addressed her with such intimacy ever since. Of course, bootlickers don't count. Now, being softly called by Lu Changxing in such a tender voice, she felt incredibly close to Lu Changxing in her bewilderment. "You dog of a man, don't call me like that." Nangong Mili quickly suppressed her tumultuous thoughts, opened her hazy beautiful eyes, her cheeks reddened with embarrassment and anger, and she said angrily, All right. Lu Changxing wasn't annoyed. He knew the Lockhart Gu was already having a certain effect on Nangong Mili. He just needed to maintain the right level, progress gradually, and naturally he would be able to melt Nangong Mili's heart. After speaking, he looked at Nangong Mili's beautifully angry cheeks, leaned in close and captured her tender and dewy lips. Nangong Mili, with her lips captured by Lu Changxing, had a bewildered look in her eyes, a difficult-to-suppress throbbing arising in her heart. As the invasion to her mouth startled her, Nangong Mili suddenly reacted, immediately struggling to push Lu Changxing away, her eyes filled with resentment as she angrily said, "You dog of a man, don't touch me. Get out once the dual cultivation is done." All right, I've just transferred in the origin source and am a bit weak. Mili, you go ahead and refine this origin source first. Lu Changxing quietly held Nangong Mili's graceful body in his arms, whispered in her ear on the side of her cheek. This voice full of doting tenderness, the intimate address and his hot breath in her sensitive ear made her whole body go limp, her body trembling uncontrollably, her heart throbbing with an indescribable meaning. Feeling the burning warmth of the man's body temperature tight against her skin, Nangong Mili even felt that she and Lu Changxing were as close as a couple deep in love. Her gorgeous cheeks were cold and taut, her eyes flashing with embarrassment and anger, wanting to continue to berate Lu Changxing to tell him to go away. But the next moment, the yin-yang energies swam towards her chi ocean core like little fish. She could sense that these little yin-yang fish were very mysterious, as if they were implicitly in accordance with some natural law of the universe. Nangong Meili was astonished, not expecting Lu Changxing to actually offer her such an origin source for healing. With a slight throbbing in her heart, she opened up her chi ocean core. And saw that, as soon as the yin-yang energies entered the chi ocean core, they began to circle around her true elixir. Strands of mysterious Tao rhythms spilled, slowly nurturing her true elixir. Nangong Meili quietly experienced the Tao rhythm within. But this Tao rhythm was very mysterious. Even she could not comprehend it all at once. She only knew that this yin-yang origin source was obviously beneficial to her true elixir. In her heart, she was even more amazed that Lu Changxing would gift her such an origin source to nurture her true elixir. For a long time the yin-yang energies were completely consumed. Nangong Meili could clearly sense that her true elixir had significantly recovered. She estimated that she would need only 4 or 5 more sessions to recover 70 to 80% of her strength. But she knew that drawing upon such origin source would certainly consume a great deal of Lu Changxing's energy. Thus, she felt embarrassed and couldn't bring herself to make such a request. Seeing that Lu Changxing was still holding her, and even beginning to get restless with his hands, Nangong Meili's face was covered with frost as she said coldly, "Now that we're done dual cultivating, get lost and stay away from me." "Let me hold you a little longer," Lu Changxing murmured softly. "Scumbag man, get the hell away from me." The chills in Nangong Meili's heart surged under Lu Changxing's tone, and she felt goosebumps all over, almost unbearable. Mana surged through her body and she pushed Lu Changxing away. Then, her body was enveloped in the glow of dawn, as she customarily entered the spiritual pool to cleanse her jade-like body. "Damn it, it seems it's not going to be easy to conquer her." Lu Changxing stood up, dusted himself off, put on his clothes and didn't seem to mind Nangong Meili's actions. He just took it as letting her vent her anger. After all, she hadn't hit him too hard. Not far away, Ling Zixiao and Meng Xiaochan exchanged glances, confused. They didn't understand what was going on with Lu Changxing today. Was he on the wrong medication or what? Why had his temperament suddenly changed so drastically? They knew how Lu Changxing had treated Nangong Meili before. They had seen it all with their own eyes. But in the next moment, Ling Zixiao had a realization. She figured that Lu Changxing had deliberately been harsh to Nangong Meili before. Now that the Lockhart Gu was showing some effect, he had started with a gentle approach. She had to admit to herself that Lu Changxing's gentle tactics were indeed hard to resist. Back when she was with Lu Changxing, his sweet talk had left her weak and her heart fluttering. In the spiritual pool, Nangong Meili's palm gently caressed her lower abdomen. The more she thought about it, the more irritable she felt that Lu Changxing was aware of her pregnancy. If this damned man kept pestering her because of the child, coming after the child every day, what would she do? Humph, this is Nangong Meili's child, what does it have to do with him? If he dares to disturb me and my child, I'll make sure he regrets it. Nangong Meili's slender eyebrows raised, her phoenix eyes shone with a cold brilliance. So what if Lu Changxing knew? Could he possibly disturb her and take away the child? The fact that she hadn't sought him out to trouble him and suppressed him in the Gu pit was already an act of great kindness. Would he dare to fight with her over the child? However, thinking about Lu Changxing's recent change of attitude, Nangong Meili felt that he wasn't so bad after all, at least he seemed quite responsible. Upon discovering the child, his demeanor had completely shifted 360 degrees. He was not an unfeeling person. But the next moment, Nangong Meili also remembered how Lu Changxing had previously humiliated and trampled on her. Now that there was a child, his attitude had changed. Wasn't she less important to him than a child? His recent gentleness towards her, was it all because of the child and not for her? Damned man. What am I thinking about? Who cares about his attitude towards me? Let him do whatever he wants. The humiliation he had inflicted on her before, even if he tries to ingratiate himself with her now, she won't let it go so easily. Nangong Meili's bewitching and radiant cheeks were cold as frost, her slender phoenix eyes filled with clarity. Chapter 537, Golden Core Charm Departure. _1 In the blink of an eye, more than half a month had passed. During these days, Lu Changxing did a good deed every day, healing Nangong Meili's injuries. Through the system panel, seeing that the child was always there, he also set his mind at ease. He knew that this female demon head was willing to leave the child behind. This made him feel increasingly positive about Nangong Mili. However, Nangong Mili's attitude toward Lu Changxing remained cold and harsh, without a trace of warmth. She would often call him a dog of a man, telling him to beat it, sometimes even lashing out physically. Ling Zixiao and Meng Xiaochan were both astounded that Lu Changxing could face such treatment without a hint of annoyance. Instead, he always had a warm and smiling face. This made them both somewhat doubt whether Lu Changxing had some particular fetish. On this day, the yin-yang energies of Lu Changxing's Dao Foundation had recovered. The speed of recovery for the yin-yang energies was related to his condition. In a place where the spiritual energy was thin, having to dual cultivate every day to heal, the recovery rate of the yin-yang energies was naturally much slower. But Nangong Mili's injuries were gradually healing, and her strength was returning. The dual cultivation was no longer one-sided healing. During the dual cultivation, Lu Changxing also gained many benefits. Moreover, because of the yin-yang energies, he swallowed and refined Nangong Mili's profound yin jade liquid. This made the effects of their dual cultivation very good. It was much better than when he cultivated with Lu Miaoge or Ling Zixiao. But it was still inferior to Xiao Xiya. Lu Changxing guessed that this should be an additional effect of his Dao Foundation. Because the yin-yang energies merged with Nangong Mili's spiritual body origin, her profound yin charm body granted him an extra bonus. In the future, once Ling Zixiao's body has recovered, and he integrates more of the Dragon Roar origin, the effect would presumably be excellent. After the dual cultivation ended, Lu Changxing transferred the scorching hot yin-yang energies to Nangong Mili. Nangong Mili's beautiful eyes were tightly closed, her eyebrows slightly furrowed, as she channeled the yin-yang energies to nurture her true elixir. After the true elixir was nurtured by the yin-yang energies, Nangong Mili suddenly discovered that the surface of her true elixir was now marked with a hint of golden pattern. This bit of golden pattern was almost imperceptible. But as the owner, she was acutely aware of it. And she realized what it was. Golden core charm. Nangong Mili's radiant and enchanting face paused, her heart like tumultuous waves crashing within. The origin source Lu Changxing had transferred to her had actually nurtured a speck of golden core charm on her true elixir. Although it was just a speck, barely noticeable, if it continued like this day after day, did it not mean that one day her fourth-grade true elixir might transform into a superior gold core? Superior gold core. Nangong Mili was incredibly shocked. She was able to attain a fourth-grade true elixir partly due to her profound yin charm body and also because she had rather good fortune. But now, her spiritual root and profound yin charm body were almost of no help in breaking through to the nascent soul stage. Without great fortune, even with a fourth-grade true elixir, progressing to nascent soul would be immensely difficult, nearly hopeless. Yet at this moment, this speck of golden core charm gave her hope of advancing to the nascent soul. If her true elixir could transform into a superior gold core, then she would have a 20 to 30% certainty of ascending to the nascent soul. Though a 20 to 30% chance might seem low for advancing from core formation to nascent soul, this chance was already exceptionally high. Involuntarily, Nangong Mili glanced at Lu Changxing. She found that she was becoming increasingly pleased with what she saw in him. And she didn't even know when she had started no longer resisting the idea of dual cultivation and close contact with him. Could it be that I've fallen for this dog of a man? Nangong Mili's heart trembled lightly, her inner turmoil peaking, a wave of unprecedented panic flooding her. Although she admitted that Lu Changxing was exceedingly handsome and his temperament was ethereal, which she found quite satisfying, how could Nangong Mili, who was above such vulgarity, fall for someone like that? Moreover, in the past days, Lu Changxing had played with her in every way possible, humiliating and trampling upon her. She had wanted nothing more than to slash him thousands of times, to kill him and be done with it. How could she inexplicably start liking this dog of a man? Dog of a man, get lost from my sight. Seeing Lu Changxing looking at her with tender eyes, Nangong Mili's eyes, misty as smoke, flitted with a trace of panic. She instantly furrowed her brows, mana surged within her, and she pushed Lu Changxing away. But the icy and sharp tone carried a hint of softness and charm. Sigh women. The moment the skirt is lifted, they turn their faces and become unrecognizable. Lu Changxing shook his head and sighed. He didn't take Nangong Mili's attitude to heart. After all, they had only been together for a little over a month. He didn't believe that, after everything that had happened, Nangong Mili would be hopelessly in love with him. If he had to be honest, were it not for the Lockhart Gu, Lu Changxing felt that given Nangong Mili's character, she would have truly attacked him long ago. Instead of merely cursing and scolding him as she did now. However, in his eyes, her attitude toward him had already improved a lot over time. At least her behavior toward him was no longer so resistant. In a moment of passion she would even be somewhat cooperative. Nangong Mili, upon hearing Lu Changxing speak in such a manner, glared at him with deadly intent in her eyes. Her entire being radiated the commanding aura of a nascent soul immortal. Only, her appearance was too enchanting and alluring, and at the moment, still flushed with the afterglow, she appeared not at all imposing in the eyes of Lu Changxing. His only thought was to conquer, possess, ravage, dominate and train her. Nevertheless, the profound and ocean-deep auras made Lu Changxing feel weighed down, as if a great mountain were pressing down upon him. Is this the strength of a nascent soul immortal? Merely the aura is so domineering. Chapter 538, Golden Core Charm, Departure. Lu Changxing was astonished by the terrifying strength of Nangong Mili. One must know, her injuries have not yet fully healed, and her power is far from recovered. If it were her heyday she probably wouldn't need to lift a finger. Just the imposing aura of her core formation would have been enough to suppress him. The difference in strength between foundation establishment and core formation is even greater than that between chi refinement and foundation establishment. No wonder the effect of the profound origin bead is enough to make a peak chi refinement cultivator comparable to foundation establishment, but it only makes a peak foundation establishment cultivator comparable to a false core. There is an insurmountable chasm between a false elixir and a true elixir. Lu Changxing took a deep breath, ignored this aura, and returned to sit and chat with Ling Zixiao at one side. Ling Zixiao and Meng Xiaochan were already used to the dynamic between Lu Changxing and Nangong Mili. After all, the two had been bickering non-stop for some time. However, Ling Zixiao still felt quite upset by the situation. She thought, "My lord performs dual cultivation to heal you, and you still put on such an attitude. Nascent soul immortal is really so great, huh?" But since Lu Changxing didn't say anything she couldn't say much either. Besides, Nangong Mili would not seriously hurt Lu Changxing, but the same might not apply to her. Time ticked by bit by bit. These days, Nangong Mili was becoming increasingly anxious in her heart. She felt she might truly have fallen for Lu Changxing. It wasn't just that Lu Changxing was becoming more and more pleasing to the eye. Deep down she actually wanted to draw closer to him. When close to him she felt a sense of peace and comfort like never before. She thought if she could keep this up it would be quite nice. These inexplicable thoughts spread through her mind, making Nangong Mili extremely panicked. What's going on? Nangong Mili couldn't help but wonder if she had been affected by some bewitching technique or her mental spirit was influenced. Or if Lu Changxing had used some technique on her during their dual cultivation. Otherwise, why would she feel like this? She was very clear about her own character. She was definitely not someone who fell for others so easily. Even if she were to take a fancy to someone, it couldn't possibly be like this. Night fell. This day, after the dual cultivation ended, Nangong Mili's mind was full of chaotic thoughts, and her restless heart couldn't calm down. She felt she had been deeply affected by Lu Changxing. No, I can't go on like this. Nangong Mili took a deep breath, suppressing the complexity and turmoil of her emotions. She looked towards Meng Xiaochan at one side. She decided to take Meng Xiaochan and leave. She felt she could no longer be with Lu Changxing. The inexplicable fondness and heart palpitations she felt towards Lu Changxing filled her with immense fear. She, Nangong Mili, even if she were to like a man, wouldn't be so sentimental and lose herself for him. Xiaochan, let's go. Nangong Mili transmitted her voice to Meng Xiaochan. Ah, master, where to? Meng Xiaochan opened her eyes wide in surprise upon hearing this. Now that your master has recovered, we can prepare to leave, Nangong Mili declared. Today Lu Changxing used the yin-yang energies to nurture her true elixir, which had allowed her strength to recover by about 3 or 4/10. Though she had only regained 3 or 4/10 of her strength, as long as she didn't encounter someone like Yun Jianfeng, a golden core true person, she still had a chance to escape. So much time had passed, and Yun Jianfeng couldn't possibly have stayed outside indefinitely. Once back at the border, people from the Five Poisons cult would surely come to her aid. Upon hearing these words, Meng Xiaoquan's teeth nibbled on her lips, her delicate face showing struggle. During this time she had already made up her mind. She planned to stay by Lu Changxing's side for the rest of her life. Otherwise, there was no way she could repay the immense favor Lu Changxing had done in curing her master. But now her master was planning to take her away. What's wrong? Nangong Mili saw Meng Xiaochan looking troubled and furrowed her brows. Master, unable to repay the kindness Lu Lang has shown, Xiaochan had made up her mind to stay by his side. Please grant this wish, Meng Xiaochan said with her lips lightly bitten. What? Upon hearing this, Nangong Mili, seeing the state of her disciple, was filled with a surge of shock and anger, and even a hint of horror. There's a saying that no one knows a daughter better than her mother. Having spent so many years together in a relationship akin to mother and daughter, Nangong Mili knew her disciple's personality very well. Normally whimsical, but at her core she had the heart of the demon path, showing disdain for men. Yet now, when she was planning to take her back, her disciple was expressing a desire to accompany Lu Changxing. What did this mean? Abandoning the great Tao. It should be known that though this mission had ended in failure, no blame could be placed on her and her disciple. The main issue lay with the defeat of the Five Poisons cult and the Heavenly Corpse sect at the hands of Li Duanshuan. As such, on the return trip, according to their contributions and merits, she could apply for the heart-eating goo for Meng Xiaochan. With the heart-eating goo, Meng Xiaocan's myriad poisons devouring heart technique could reach great success. There was hope for her core formation in the future. But at this moment, Meng Xiaochan was giving up going back, ready to stay by Lu Changxing's side. This left Nangong Mili feeling incredibly angry and horrified. Thinking about her own inexplicable emotions and affection for Lu Changxing, and now seeing her disciple's feelings for Lu Changxing even stronger than her own, as if bewitched. At this moment, Nangong Mili was almost certain something was wrong with her. Her narrow and captivating eyes turned towards Lu Changxing, a trace of murderous intent flickering within. She pondered whether to kill Lu Changxing to eliminate future troubles. Considering how she felt at the moment and Meng Xiaocan's state, it was truly making her panic. But as soon as the thought arose, her heart started racing uncontrollably. The inner turmoil caused a faint pain, signaling she couldn't do it. Unbidden, memories of the past days, Lu Changxing's tenderness, smiles and affection, flooded her mind, dissipating her intent to kill. But the more she felt this way, the more panicked and horrified Nangong Mili became, knowing that something was seriously wrong with her. Chapter 539, Golden Core Charm Departure. Go. Nangong Mili immediately suppressed her emotions, took on her master's authority, and planned to take Meng Xiaochan away with her. Are you planning to leave? Lu Changxing opened his eyes and looked toward Nangong Mili, who was pulling Meng Xiaochan along. He could tell Nangong Mili was intending to leave. Moreover, he faintly felt that the emotional bond between Nangong Mili and himself was wavering. It meant that Nangong Mili was struggling to break free from the influence of the Lockhart Goo. It seems the Lockhart Goo still struggles to fully bind a nascent soul immortal. Lu Changxing sighed slightly in his heart. He knew the Lockhart Goo was yet unable to silently and subtly affect Nangong Mili. He looked at Nangong Mili and Meng Xiaochan saying, Mili Xiaochan, are you preparing to leave? Nangong Mili trembled at his words. Her expression was majestic and enchantingly beautiful as she looked at Lu Changxing. Her phoenix eyes slightly narrowed and she said indifferently, What, do you intend to stop me? With her words, an imposing aura began to rise around her. Although she had made a heart demon oath not to harm Lu Changxing, if Lu Changxing dared to stop her, even at the risk of heart demon backlash, she would strike him down. How much of your strength has recovered? Lu Changxing watched Nangong Mili quietly thoughtful and then asked. He knew that he couldn't stop Nangong Mili from leaving. Moreover, he had no intention of taking Nangong Mili back home. It wasn't realistic. Nor did he have the conditions to do so. However, Nangong Mili and Meng Xiaochan were currently wanted and pursued by the Heavenly Sword sect. If their strength wasn't sufficient, trying to return to the Jin Kingdom could be very dangerous. 30%. Nangong Mili's voice was calm and indifferent. It lacked the usual seductive charm. And also the cold sharpness of frost. 30%? Lu Changxing, hearing this, knew that with this level of strength, as long as she didn't encounter a nascent soul immortal, she wouldn't have much of a problem. Although he had thoughts of continuing to heal Nangong Mili, by the looks of it, Nangong Mili didn't seem to want to continue this way. Regarding this, Lu Changxing wouldn't force her. And he couldn't force her either. Moreover, he himself was in a hurry to return home. From here back to Qingzhou Mountain, the journey would still take 2 to 3 months. To ensure Nangong Mili's complete recovery, he estimated that it would require staying here for several more months, or even a year and a half. By that time, his family would definitely be worried about him. After some thought, Lu Changsheng's mana surged within him. A gray bead shrouded in mist appeared in his hand. It was the misty sky bead. Although Nangong Meili had recovered 30% of her strength, her body possessed the profound alluring body, her charm unrivaled. Even if she were to change her appearance, she would still attract attention. The disguise offered by the misty sky bead, impenetrable even to nascent soul immortals, could help Nangong Meili change her appearance and conceal her magic aura, aiding in her escape from Jiang country. This was currently the most he could do for Nangong Meili. This bead is called Misty Sky, and it has the Misty Sky illusion ability. It can not only change one's appearance and conceal one's magic aura but also completely disguise someone as another person. Such a disguise, even average nascent soul immortals would find hard to see through, Lu Changxing told Nangong Meili as he spoke. In the meantime he activated the Misty Sky bead, his appearance, body shape, voice and magic aura constantly changing. Misty Sky bead? Even golden cores find it hard to see through the disguise? Nangong Meili, seeing Lu Changxing's changing face, body shape, voice and magic aura, narrowed her phoenix eyes slightly. She scanned him with her divine sense. Indeed, she couldn't find any flaws in his disguise. This surprised Nangong Meili. She faintly guessed the reason why Lu Changxing suddenly spoke to her about this. This Misty Sky bead should be of some help to you. After Lu Changxing finished speaking, he erased his imprint on the Misty Sky bead and threw it directly to Nangong Meili. Nangong Meili's exquisitely enchanting face paused in astonishment. Looking at the Misty Sky bead in front of her, her heart welled with emotions that were difficult to articulate, and her gaze turned distant. From the simple demonstration Lu Changxing had just performed, she had already perceived the power of the Misty Sky bead. She knew it was an extremely rare and precious treasure. Yet at this moment Lu Changxing was giving it to her so readily. Deep down, however, she didn't wish to have any entanglement with Lu Changxing any longer. Take it, and you don't need to hurry to leave. If you don't want to stay with me for long, I can leave now, and you can continue to heal here, Lu Changxing said, looking at the changing expression on Nangong Meili's face. Without waiting for Nangong Meili to respond, he took out a stack of talismans from his storage bag. All of these were second-rank talismans. Xiaochan, keep these talismans close to you and take good care of your master. Lu Changxing stepped forward, handed the talismans to Meng Xiaochan and said warmly. Meng Xiaochan looked at the talismans and hearing his words, paused slightly, not understanding the meaning behind his words. Although her master was in a weakened state, and her injuries had not yet recovered, surely there was no need for her to take care of her, right? Biting her red lips and lowering her phoenix eyes with a face that shifted between cloudy and clear, Nangong Meili understood upon hearing these words that Lu Changxing knew she was pregnant. Otherwise he would never have said such things. Although she didn't know how Lu Changxing found out about her pregnancy, after spending some time together through the yin-yang energies, the Misty Sky bead, and her own and Meng Xiaocan's situation, she realized profoundly that Lu Changxing was not simple. It was plausible that he had some special method of detection. Xiaochan, keep this yin-yang sensing talisman. When I have time I will come to Jin Kingdom to visit you. Of course if you ever come to Jiang country you can also come to see me. Lu Changxing, seeing Meng Xiaocan's reluctance to leave him and her unwillingness to return with Nangong Meili, knew he could not suggest Meng Xiaochan stay while sending Nangong Meili back alone. If he dared to do so, Nangong Meili would definitely explode. Having said that, he gently embraced Meng Xiaochan. Then he turned towards Ling Zixiao and said, "Let's go, Zixiao." Okay. Ling Zixiao, witnessing this scene, even though she did not understand what it all meant, felt that something must have happened between Lu Changxing and Nangong Meili. Otherwise Lu Changxing would not have acted as he did. She faintly guessed it had something to do with the drastic change in Lu Changxing's attitude towards Nangong Meili from before. Miss Meng, these are the inverted 5-element formation and minor sky veil formation array plates and instructions on how to use them. Ling Zixiao took out 2 array plates and a jade slip from her storage bag, which were precisely for the formation set up here. Thank you, Miss Ling. Meng Xiaochan accepted the array plates and thanked her. Then the two boarded the spirit boat. Meili, Xiaochan, take care on your way. We shall meet again. Lu Changxing looked towards Nangong Meili and Meng Xiaochan, took a deep breath and said, Lu Lang, until we meet again. Meng Xiaochan looked at Lu Changxing, her eyes filled with reluctance, and spoke as she bit her lips. Nangong Meili's expression continually changed, revealing a look as if she had words to say but halted. Eventually she suppressed the sourness in her heart along with various other emotions, closed her phoenix eyes gently, and chose not to look at Lu Changxing as she sat down to meditate nearby. Lu Changxing nodded, taking another glance at Nangong Mili by his side, then the spirit boat whooshed and turned into a beam of light, shooting into the sky. Chapter 540, Meng Xiaochan. Master, it's the Lockhart Gu Underswan. The moonlight was like frost and a gentle breeze blew softly. At the top of Spirit Pond Mountain, there was a serene tranquility. Only the pine trees not far away swayed gently, making a rustling sound. Yet this sound carried a certain solitude and desolation. No one knew how much time had passed. Nangong Mili slowly opened her eyes. Previously, when facing Lu Changxing, her heart pounded uncontrollably. Love, murderous intent, tenderness, anger and bitterness surged, making it impossible for her to face Lu Changxing directly. Her whole being seemed overwhelmed by a flood, leaving her struggling to free herself. Now, as Lu Changxing had departed, her heart gradually calmed down. Xiaochan, tell me what's going on between you and that dog. Lu Changxing? Nangong Mili looked at her disciple with a complex expression and spoke. Master. Meng Xiaochan, upon hearing her master's words, turned pale. She knew her master had become aware of the Lockhart Gu matter. Her teeth bit tightly on her lower lip, almost to the point of drawing blood, her delicate frame trembling, stuttering without speaking. Sigh. Nangong Mili quietly watched her disciple. Seeing Meng Xiaochan like this, she let out a deep sigh. Her heart was certain there was something wrong with Lu Changxing. Her love for Lu Changxing must have been manipulated by some means. And Meng Xiaochan must know something about it. But she had been influenced by Lu Changxing even more so. Otherwise, she would not show such a demeanor. Get some rest. Nangong Mili glanced at her disciple, remained silent, and closed her eyes again. Meng Xiaochan saw a fleeting disappointment in her master's eyes. It was like a knife twisted in her heart. She bit down on her lips firmly enough to draw fresh blood. Her heart quivered as she faced a choice between her master and Lu Changxing. Finally, she spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, her complexion pale as paper, and uttered a single sentence. Master, it's the Lockhart Gu. In the night sky, a spirit boat streaked under the moonlight. On the boat stood a man and a woman. The man had a handsome face and a tall figure, dressed in a long robe of green, his aura detached from the mundane world. Like an orchid or a dignified mountain, he inspired awe in those who saw him. The woman was beautiful, with her hair coiffed up, wearing a light blue dress, graceful and dignified. Her face was pale and devoid of color, making her appear voluptuous and frail. But her beautiful eyes were as clear as autumn water, lucid and spirited, commanding respect from anyone who saw her. My lord, Ling Zixiao noticed that Lu Changxing was somewhat troubled and gently took his hand. Although she did not know the situation between Lu Changxing and Nangong Mili, she knew that Lu Changxing was bothered by this matter. Lu Miaoge, hearing this, pursed her lips and shook her head gently, feeling somewhat downhearted. Lu Changxing had been away for a year and 3 months now. His prolonged absence naturally caused her worry. Moreover, with the issue of Xiahou money, the whole Qingyun region was feeling uneasy. And Lu Changxing was usually quite prompt. If he said a year, it was usually a year. But now, it had been over a year and he had yet to return, a fact that made her uneasy. Chapter 541, Meng Xiaochan. Master, it's the Lockhart Gu. Lu Yuanding sighed softly upon hearing this. On one hand, he asked about this matter because the family was not in a good situation and hoped that Lu Changxing, the second-grade talisman master, would return home soon to take his place in the family. On the other hand, it was also because he was concerned about Lu Changxing's well-being. After all, the cultivation world was now restive, and Lu Changxing was not safe out there. Miaoge, Xiahou money is currently causing chaos everywhere. With the elder ancestor injured, should the Xiahou family launch an attack, our family will undoubtedly be unable to resist and face annihilation. Therefore, the elder ancestor and I have discussed, and plan to have you take some of the children to either Nine Dragons Market or Qingyun Market. Lu Yuanding said, looking at Lu Miaoge. For a family, the most important thing is fresh blood. The Lu family was now in a precarious situation and couldn't afford any turmoil. The Feng family fortress demon path incident had caused Lu Yuanzhong and the senior members of the Lu family great concern, fearing that demon cultivators might find them on Qingzhou Mountain. Given Lu Yuanzhong's current situation, it would be very dangerous for the Lu family if demon cultivators attacked. So, they thought about having Lu Miaoga take some of the family's direct descendants to the big marketplaces. That way, even if the demon path attacked, the Lu family would still be able to preserve some of their lineage outside. Lu Miaoga's lips pursed lightly when she heard this, her mood somewhat heavy. She knew the family was preparing for the worst. Father, the family needs people to take charge now, Lu Miaoga spoke up. She suggested that other members of the family could take the children away, and she would stay to take charge of the family. After all, the Lu family really didn't have much energy refinement late-stage combat power left now. Miaoga, someone needs to look after these children. Moreover, Qingshan and Qingzhu are also coming of age for cultivation. If the family really faces disaster, only you would be able to raise and nurture these children into adulthood. Therefore, I think you are the most suitable person to handle this task. Lu Yuanding, already knowing what his daughter wanted to say, interrupted before she could speak. The family had to distribute some of the direct descendants elsewhere. But they couldn't send too many away at once. Doing so would cause panic and leave the family severely weakened. Although he was a clan cultivator, he was also a father. With a personal desire. He hoped his daughter would take on this task. To send Lu Qingshan, Lu Qingzhu, and Lu Qingsong, several of the children, away. Father, Changxing has a foundation establishment friend from Qingyun sect in Green River Marketplace. I can send the children to Green River Marketplace and ask her for help in looking after them. After that, let one of the clan elders go to Green River Marketplace to take care of the children, so I can return and take charge of the family. After a moment of silence, Lu Miaoga said. Thinking of sending the children to Green River Marketplace. Xiao Xia held the position of record chief in Green River Marketplace. As long as Xiao Xia would look after these children, their safety would be assured. Even if the Lu family encountered any problems, neighboring families and rival forces would not dare to be utterly ruthless. Moreover, by doing this they could demonstrate to the outside world their connection with Xiao Xia, which could serve as a certain deterrent. As for whether Xiao Xia would agree, she felt quite assured. Because of Lu Wangshu, she had met Xiao Xia twice and the two had quite a long talk. Moreover, she would also be sending Lu Wangshu there this time. Good, you can make the arrangements now. Lu Yuanding, seeing the smile on his daughter's face, nodded and said. He also knew about Lu Changsheng's good friend from Qingyun sect who was at the foundation establishment level. This move could serve as a deterrent to outsiders. Although it wouldn't deter demon cultivators, it could still intimidate the neighboring families and forces coveting their Lu family. Immediately, Lu Miaoga and Lu Yuanding discussed which younger members to take on this trip. After all, the Lu family's spirit boat had limited space, able to carry only 12 people. Lu Miaoga, Lu Qingshan, Lu Qingzhu, and Lu Qingsong already occupied 4 spots. A spirit boat shuttled through the clouds. Only half a month's journey left. Lu Changxing, sitting cross-legged on the spirit boat, glanced at the jade slip map. Seeing that there was just about half a month's journey left to return to Qingzhou Mountain, his emotions surged, eager to be home. After all, he had intended his trip away to last only a year. But by the time he got home it would be a year and a half. Without thinking, he knew his family must be very worried about him. I wonder what expressions Miaoyun, Sister Miaoga, and grandmother will have when I tell them of my breakthrough to foundation establishment. Lu Changxing also thought about the looks on his family members' faces when he returned home and announced his breakthrough to foundation establishment. Though in the entire Jiang country cultivation realm, foundation establishment cultivators were not much to speak of, for lower-level cultivators and families like that on Qingzhou Mountain, foundation establishment was like ruling as kings. Many lower-level cultivators dream their whole lives of breaking through to foundation establishment. My talent and breaking through to foundation establishment at this age is a bit early. But considering the fortune in the cultivation world, it can be barely explained, I guess. Lu Changxing thought to himself. Unknowingly, he was already 39 years old. It had been 21 years since he regained his memories at Qingyun sect's Heart Inquiry platform. Barely the age of 40 without confusion. But for a foundation establishment cultivator with a lifespan of 200 years, 40 was still his prime. Just then a system notification sounded. Congratulations to the host. A descendant has been born, granting you 1 lottery draw opportunity. Ha, a descendant has been born? Lu Changxing was momentarily taken aback when he heard this system notification. He realized the next moment that it must be his son Lu Wuyu and Li Shuer who had welcomed a new child. Chapter 542, Meng Xiaochan, Master, it's the Lockhart goo. Ah, before I knew it, I've also come to the age of being a grandfather. Lu Changxing thought of his son Lu Wuyu, who had had children, and felt quite sentimental for a moment. He thought about how he hadn't been able to visit Rui Prefecture in over a year. By now, quite a few of his children must have started their own families. I wonder if Pingan has come back. Lu Changxing then thought of his eldest son Lu Pingan. Initially, this son had said he would go out to gain experience for a few years. When he left, Lu Pingan had not yet returned. Now, by his calculations, Lu Pingan should have finished his training and returned home. He was a bit curious, wondering if his son had made any progress or changes during his time away. He had a particular fondness for this eldest son. If he was still interested in cultivation, he would give him the hope goo to help him embark on the path of immortality. System lottery. After his thoughts had swirled for a moment, Lu Changxing's mental spirit stirred slightly, and he began the lottery. The system lottery wheel emerged. Accompanied by a golden light, it started to spin. Not long after, the golden light stopped. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a treasure, Spiritual Eye Spring. The reward has been placed in the system space, and the host can check it at any time. A miniature spring eye pattern gurgling with water emerged from the lottery wheel, accompanied by a system notification sound. Spiritual Eye Spring? Lu Changxing saw the reward he had won this time and his eyes lit up with delight. He naturally knew what the spiritual eye spring was. The world has spiritual energy, and in places where the spiritual energy is rich, spirit veins, big or small, will form. The large spirit veins may extend for tens of thousands of miles without end. The small spirit veins might be less than a mile long, pitifully narrow. But regardless of the size of the spirit vein, once formed, it would automatically emit a faint spiritual energy, allowing the spiritual energy of the enveloped area to circulate endlessly. However, the spiritual energy produced in different areas of these spirit veins is not uniform. The places where the spiritual energy is most concentrated and dense are naturally most suited for meditation and cultivation, or for planting spirit plants, and are therefore called spiritual eyes in the cultivation world. Spiritual eyes are generally invisible and colorless, and can only be perceived based on the concentration of spiritual energy. Alternatively, one could hire a feng shui master or a dragon seeker to find them. Any place known as a spiritual eye signifies that it is the spot with the most abundant spiritual energy in the nearby spirit vein. If the spiritual energy of the spiritual eye is dense enough and can be maintained for a long time, it may gradually develop a physical form, creating objects of the spiritual eye. For example, pearls, stones, springs, trees, and so forth of the spiritual eye. The spiritual energy emitted by these objects of the spiritual eye is much more concentrated and pure than that of ordinary spiritual eyes. Cultivating next to an object of the spiritual eye can be described as achieving twice the result with half the effort. What truly delighted Lu Changxing was that such objects of the spiritual eye could be used to create and upgrade spirit veins. He wanted to establish a family. But the highest quality spiritual land he could find was only second rank. The reason was simple. Second-rank spirit veins were the highest grade spirit veins that ordinary cultivators could find. Third-rank spirit veins were very rare and almost always owned. And Lu Changxing still had the idea of planting trees on his mind. The luminous treasure tree and Mount Sumeru Tree King within the system space. The luminous treasure tree is still all right. The second-grade spiritual vein can barely sustain it. But the Mount Sumeru Tree King, if planted on a second-grade spirit vein, one doesn't need to think to know it's quite forced, consuming a great amount of spiritual energy. By then, it will surely affect the circulation of spiritual energy throughout the entire spiritual vein land, even the operation of the family grade formation. I wonder what rank this spiritual eye spring is. If it's third rank, wouldn't I be able to make a small area have third rank spiritual energy? In that case, the problem with the Mount Sumeru Tree King would be solved. Lu Changxing pondered in his heart, looking towards the system space. Treasure, spiritual eye spring. Rank, third rank low grade. Description, a marvel created by the forces of heaven and earth, capable of continuously producing third rank spiritual energy. Combined with a formation, it can create a small second rank low grade spiritual vein. Third rank low grade, capable of creating a second rank low grade small spiritual vein. Lu Changxing looked at the information about this spiritual eye spring and was delighted. He thought to himself that the system indeed did not disappoint him. The effects of this spiritual eye were almost the same as what he had understood from the books. However, after obtaining a spiritual eye, no cultivator would use it to create a spirit vein. Doing so would be a complete waste of heavenly gifts. The most suitable use would be to carry it with oneself. Or place it in a cave heaven to speed up the cultivation process. At the very least, it could be used to upgrade a spirit vein. A third-rank low-grade spiritual eye spring. With this spiritual eye spring, at least the spiritual energy issue with the Mount Sumeru Tree King would be resolved. Lu Changxing pondered in his heart, planning to use this spiritual eye spring for the Mount Sumeru Tree King. He was somewhat curious in his heart if the Mount Sumeru Tree King, with its own cave heaven within, nurturing a world. Could this spiritual eye spring be placed directly inside the Mount Sumeru Tree King? If it could be placed inside, wouldn't it be like having a power bank for continuous charging within the Mount Sumeru Tree King? My lord, are you so happy because we're getting close to home? At this moment, Ling Zixiao, who was resting on the spirit boat, woke up, saw the smile on Lu Changxing's face and said with a light smile. She found that Lu Changxing liked to smile whenever he had nothing on his mind. But this smile was very comforting, soothing, like gentle sunlight, the spring breeze of March. Yes, in about half a month's journey we'll be there. Lu Changxing said with a smile. As he neared home, his desire to return grew more and more urgent. Ling Zixiao looked at Lu Changxing's sincere smile and felt that she truly couldn't see through this man. A son-in-law adopted into the family, yet he had grown to such an extent in just over 20 years. His methods and combat power were astonishing, his talent was unparalleled. Yet in normal times he didn't show the slightest arrogance of a genius, his face always mild and casual. At this moment, about to return home, the smile on his face, the longing in his eyes, was just like an ordinary mortal, distinctly different from many cultivators. Zixiao, once we get back, I should have a way to solve your dragon roar physique. Then you'll be able to fully recover and start cultivating again. Lu Changxing looked at Ling Zixiao, who was beaming at him, and said with a light chuckle, "MHM." Ling Zixiao chuckled lightly, stood up, took Lu Changxing's arm, and gently leaned her head on his shoulder, looking down at the sea of clouds below. Her heart was filled with anticipation and curiosity about Qingzhou Mountain, Lu Changxing's family. Chapter 543, Bodhi Golden Cicada, Core Formation Accepting Disciples. _1000s of miles of clear skies as blue as washed. A spirit boat, emanating a deep blue glow, was flying swiftly through the sky. Lu Miaoge, with her hair elegantly coiffed high, her face beautiful and serene, was wearing a snow-white dress, dignified in manners as she steered the spirit boat. On the boat sat several young boys and girls, ranging from 5 or 6 to about 10 years old. "Auntie, how much longer till we get there?" A young boy around 11 or 12 with a handsome face and bright red lips, dressed in a green shirt, asked Lu Miaoge. "Qingshan, in 3 or 4 days we'll arrive." Upon hearing Lu Qingshan's question, Lu Miaoge's beautiful and gentle face revealed a faint smile as she spoke softly. 3 or 4 days, how? Lu Qingshan, upon hearing this, immediately made an exaggerated display of weariness. He then looked over at his younger sister, Lu Qingzhu. He pinched her little cheek and said, "Come on, little Zhu, tell your brother a story." Lu Qingzhu was dressed in a pink and white jacket and skirt, carved like jade, very pretty and adorable. Especially her pair of sparkling large eyes, that shined like crystals. When she heard what her older brother said, she tilted her head and asked obediently, "What story do you want to hear, brother?" How about a tale where Qingshan the Sword Immortal travels with his sister, slays demons and finds treasures? Lu Qingshan thought for a moment and then spoke. He took the golden hamster from his sister's hands and began kneading it, making the earth spirit mouse squeak in his hands. "Still calling yourself Qingshan the Sword Immortal, brother, you're shameless." Lu Qingsong, who was nearby, immediately said with a look of disdain upon hearing what Lu Qingshan had said. "Ever since the day I held a sword, I knew that I am destined to be a peerless sword immortal in the future. So show some respect to Qingshan the Sword Immortal." Lu Qingshan knocked on his younger brother's forehead and stood with his hands on his hips, looking like a mischievous little devil. "Lu Qingshan, keep your voice down, you woke up little Wang Shu." A girl around 15 or 16, upon seeing the child in her arms awakened by the noise, immediately spoke up, none too pleased. Oh, don't cry, don't cry." The girl immediately started to comfort Lu Wangshu, urging her not to cry. But for a child of that age, abruptly woken from sleep, it isn't that easy to be soothed. "Xiu'er, hand Wangshu to me." Seeing this scene, Lu Miaoge immediately said with a tender expression, taking Lu Wangshu into her arms. Due to Lu Changxing and Xiao Xia's circumstances, Lu Wangshu was mostly cared for by her. She practically treated Lu Wangshu as if she were her own daughter. The crying Lu Wangshu, once in the arms of Lu Miaoge, stopped crying immediately and called out milkily for her mother. "You must all be tired and hungry by now, let's rest a bit and have something to eat." Lu Miaoge comforted Lu Wangshu and looked at the children on the spirit boat, speaking softly. The journey from Qingzhou Mountain to Green River Marketplace was long. This kind of travel for the children was very monotonous and exhausting. So, after covering a certain distance, she would let the children rest and relax a bit. Yay! Lu Qingshan heard this and his face immediately lit up with happiness. He was naturally lively and active on any regular day. This long journey had been quite unbearable for him. As the spirit boat descended from the sky, Lu Qingshan looked at the earth spirit mouse in his hand, gave it a couple of squeezes and said out loud, "Xiaojin, quick, look around, are there any treasures nearby? Brother, do you really think treasures are just lying around for the picking? Mom told me that those spirit stones you picked up before were deliberately placed outside by Aunt Yun for you to find, and you were foolishly happy for days." Lu Qingsong said to his older brother with a face full of disdain. "If you don't speak, no one will think you're mute." Lu Qingshan replied irritably. He muttered to himself, "That can't be right. According to the stories, the protagonist always finds treasures when they go out. My dad went out and found Xiao Hei, Xiao Jin, De Qin, and the golden potato. How come I can't find anything?" A look of dissatisfaction appeared on Lu Qingshan's face as he rubbed the earth spirit mouse in his hands even more vigorously. Just then, the earth spirit mouse in his hands sniffed around and chirped at Lu Qingshan, while its two little paws pointed in a direction. "Xiaojin, are you saying there's a treasure up ahead?" Seeing the earth spirit mouse's actions, Lu Qingshan's eyes immediately shone. He excitedly turned to Lu Miaoge and shouted, Auntie, Xiaojin says there's a treasure here." "Treasure?" Lu Miaoge was somewhat surprised. She hadn't expected there to actually be a treasure in the vicinity. But if the earth spirit mouse said there was, then there certainly was. She said affectionately and indulgently, "All right, since there's a treasure, let's go and have a look." Immediately, she steered the spirit boat slowly in the direction the earth spirit mouse was pointing. "It's right here." Once the spirit boat stopped, Lu Qingshan said with a face full of excitement and anticipation. Then he turned to Lu Qingzhu and said, "Qingzhu, don't worry, even though encountering this treasure is due to my good luck, Xiaojin also played a part, so you get half of the treasure." After saying that, he cast a disdainful glance at Lu Qingsong and said, "Lu Qingsong, there's nothing for you, just be envious." "Lu Qingshan, you haven't even found the treasure yet, so don't speak too soon," Lu Qingsong said, refusing to accept defeat. "Tisk, just be envious." Lu Qingshan, pulling Lu Qingzhu, jumped agilely off the spirit boat. Then he tossed the earth spirit mouse into the air and shouted, "Go on, Xiaojin." "Qingshan, be careful," Lu Miaoge, holding Lu Wangshu, called out to Lu Qingshan. Holding several talismans in her hands, she steered the spirit boat closely behind Lu Qingshan. Even with the earth spirit mouse's guidance, treasure hunting could be unpredictable and dangerous. It wasn't long before the earth spirit mouse arrived beside a large boulder, pointing at a pale golden bamboo shoot that had just sprouted. "Is this the treasure?" Chapter 544. Bodhi Golden Cicada, Core Formation Accepting Disciples. "Sister, what kind of bamboo shoot is this?" Lu Qingshan stepped forward to observe the bamboo shoot and asked Lu Qingzhu. Qingzhou Mountain was home to a school. Those with a spiritual root, by attending the school, would learn knowledge relevant to the cultivation world. Such topics included elixir medicines, talismans, spirit plants, demon beasts, and the identification of heavenly and earthly treasures. However, Lu Qingshan was relatively mischievous, fond of pranks and not very interested in studying. Meanwhile, Lu Qingzhu was of a quiet nature, liked to read books, and thus knew much more in matters of knowledge than Lu Qingshan. So whenever he didn't understand something, he would directly ask Lu Qingzhu. "I don't know." Lu Qingzhu squatted beside it, glanced at the bamboo shoot a few times, and shook her little head, indicating her ignorance of what it could be. She studied diligently and enjoyed reading, but after all, she was only 10 years old. Her knowledge of the cultivation world was mostly just common sense, familiar things. This should be a bitter heart shoot. Lu Miaoge, standing to the side, looked at the pale golden bamboo shoot with some surprise and said, "A bitter heart shoot?" Both Lu Qingshan and Lu Qingzhu had no idea what it was. A bitter heart shoot? Aunt, I remember reading in books that bitter heart shoots have very stringent growth conditions. They must grow in places where nature's spiritual energy is dense. How could one be growing here? On the spirit boat, a youth asked in astonishment. I am not sure either. Lu Miaoge shook her head. She too was puzzled about why a bitter heart shoot would grow here. Auntie, is this bitter heart shoot very valuable? Upon hearing this, Lu Qingshan immediately turned his attention to its value. After all, treasure hunting was all about the value. It depends on the situation. This bitter heart shoot has just sprouted. Its value should be around 300 to 500 spirit stones. Lu Miaoge said softly. Wow, so valuable and going to be rich. Lu Qingshan's eyes sparkled with excitement upon hearing this. He then moved forward to dig out this bitter heart shoot. Be careful, Qingshan. Try not to dig it out by yourself. Seeing this, Lu Miaoge hastily raised her hand, her spiritual power surged and she held Lu Qingshan back. Then she flicked her storage bag and a small white jade shovel appeared. She controlled the white jade shovel to dig out the pale golden bamboo shoot. Indeed, it is a bitter heart shoot. Lu Miaoge looked at the bitter heart shoot with a smile on her face. This bitter heart shoot, valued at least 300 spirit stones, was a decent find. Turning to Lu Qingshan, she said softly, Qingshan, he'll keep this bitter heart shoot for you and give you the equivalent in spirit stones later. What is this? However, at this moment Lu Qingshan was looking at the pit from which the bitter heart shoot had been unearthed. In the pit lay a fist-sized pale golden piece of glassy amber. He picked it up. Inside there was a golden cicada of unimpressive appearance. As Lu Qingshan held the amber in his hand, it slowly began to melt. An unremarkable energy emanated from the ordinary-looking golden cicada within. Lu Miaoge, witnessing the amber in Lu Qingshan's hands and feeling its extraordinary energy, was visibly startled. She quickly stepped forward, lifted a delicate hand, and wrapped the piece of amber with her spiritual power just in case there was an issue with the cicada inside. At the same time, above the clouds, a giant gourd was flying slowly through the fierce winds. Resting on the gourd was a woman who appeared to be in her 30s, with a stunning, voluptuous figure, dressed in a bright red gown. The woman wore a splendid long dress in bright red. Her full bosom seemed eager to jump out from the neckline, proud without anger. Without revealing her entire form, just the tip of the iceberg was enough to make one involuntarily swallow hard. She lay indolently on the gourd, sipping slowly from another gourd, with 3,000 strands of loose hair and her bright red gown fluttering with the fierce winds, revealing 2 lovely, straight legs. Her thighs were full and firm but not plump, filled with a robust sensuality. Below her supple and smooth calves, her exquisitely sculpted bare feet showed a faint blush, crossed beside the mouth of the gourd. Her stunning face flushed with a tinge of redness from constant drinking. Her eyes clouded with a sense of satisfaction from mild intoxication. This energy. At that moment, as if sensing something, she adjusted her posture to sit up more properly with a slight frown. Then the large gourd beneath her transformed into a rainbow of light, tearing through the fierce winds and speeding toward the ground below. Haha, I truly am a child of fortune. In the woods, Lu Qingshan looked at the golden cicada in his hands and laughed exuberantly. Although he didn't know what the golden cicada was, Aunt Miaoge didn't recognize it. He inferred it was the molt of some rare and unusual insect, not at all ordinary. Therefore he treated it as a rare treasure. Turning to Lu Qingzhu beside him, he said with a grin, Little Zhuer, don't worry, you'll have half of this treasure. Swish. Just then a rainbow of light shot through the air. A tall woman with disheveled black hair, wearing an opulent bright red dress, appeared atop a giant gourd. The Bodhi golden cicada? The woman in the red dress, upon seeing the golden cicada in Lu Qingshan's hands, showed a look of surprise on her face. Greetings, senior. Seeing the woman who had suddenly appeared, Lu Miaoge was immediately startled and hurriedly bowed respectfully. Although the stranger had not revealed much of her formidable presence, the faint aura she exuded, along with her arrival streaking through the sky, immediately made Lu Miaoge realize that this was a nascent soul immortal. Cultivators who break through foundation establishment can fly through the sky. And if they advance further and break through core formation, they can transform into a rainbow and soar into the 9 heavens' fierce winds. Greetings, senior. Greetings, senior. Greetings, senior. Looking at this scene, Lu Qingshan, Lu Qingzhu, and the other Lu family disciples all expressed their astonishment. Indeed, it is a Gingjin body constitution. No wonder you were able to activate the aura of the Bodhi golden cicada. It turns out it was because of the Gingjin body constitution. My master passed down the Gingjin sword art to me. This young man has the Gingjin body constitution and his temperament and destiny are not bad, making him a suitable successor. Yan Yuan looked at the boy before her, pondering to herself, subconsciously reaching for the wine gourd on her waist. But hesitating for a moment, she immediately straightened her mature and fiery figure, the casualness fading from her face as she stood with her hands behind her back and spoke seriously. This cicada is called Bodhi golden cicada, and I happen to need it as an ingredient for refining a batch of elixir medicines. However, I would not take your chance for nothing. Given your exceptional talent, I am willing to take you as my disciple. Would you accept? Yan Yuan looked at Lu Qingshan before her and spoke. As she spoke, her bright red garments rustled, revealing her entire nascent soul aura. Suddenly she appeared majestic and transcendent, with quite the demeanor of a superior figure. Take me as an apprentice? Lu Qingshan blinked, not expecting her to actually want to take him as an apprentice. Although he often imagined such scenarios when reading storybooks, when actually faced with the situation, he was still surprised and conflicted. Moreover, he hadn't even discerned her abilities. How could he rashly accept her as his master? Exceptional talent, taken as a disciple? Hearing this, Lu Miaoge, who was holding Lu Wangshu, looked surprised and doubtful. I never expected this core formation predecessor to actually want to accept Lu Qingshan as a disciple. But Lu Qingshan only has a 6th grade spiritual root. This has nothing to do with exceptional talent, does it? If this predecessor is only interested in Lu Qingshan's opportunity and thus takes him as a disciple, I'm afraid. I am Tian Yuan, true immortal of Jinyang sect from Yu country. You, Junior, have a Gingjin body constitution, which perfectly matches the legacy of my sect. Yan Yuan realized that Lu Qingshan and Lu Miaoge were confused and remembered that he had not introduced himself yet. So he took out the Jinyang sect token and said with an authoritative voice. Jinyang sect from Yu country? Gingjin body constitution? Lu Miaoge was surprised again when she heard the other party's words and introduction. I never thought that he wasn't a cultivator from Jiang country, but a nascent soul immortal from Jinyang sect in Yu country. She had heard of Jinyang sect, one of the 5 major immortal sects in Yu country. Its status was similar to Qingyun sect and Luoxia sect of Jiang country. However, what surprised her the most was that Lu Qingshan was of the Gingjin body constitution. When Lu Qingshan was examined for his spiritual root at the age of 6, he only showed a 6th grade spiritual root. He hadn't yet started cultivation, and his spiritual body had not been revealed. Nobody in the family knew that Lu Qingshan possessed a spiritual body. Only when she heard this Tian Yuan true immortal did she realize that her sister's son actually had a Gingjin body constitution. Although a Gingjin body constitution is just one of the common 5-element spiritual bodies. But a spiritual body is a spiritual body nonetheless. As long as Lu Qingshan does not die prematurely, it's highly likely he'll achieve foundation establishment. If he could become a disciple of a nascent soul immortal, there might be hope for core formation. Qingshan, don't you hurry to thank the senior. Lu Miaoge quickly said to Lu Qingshan. Knowing that the nascent soul immortal was interested not only because of the chance object, but also because of Lu Qingshan's Gingjin body constitution, so he was willing to accept a disciple, she was relieved. After all, being accepted as a disciple by a nascent soul immortal is an enormous opportunity and a great fortune. Although the journey to Jinyang sect of Yu country is long, it's obviously worth it compared to the chance of being a disciple under a nascent soul immortal. Jinyang sect, Tian Yuan true immortal? Lu Qingshan wasn't familiar with Jinyang sect, only knowing about Qingyun sect. But from what he heard and seeing the look on his aunt's face, he figured Jinyang sect must be similar to Qingyun sect. Moreover, the other party claimed to be a true immortal, which meant a true nascent soul immortal. This was a truly exalted senior. For such a senior to take him as a disciple, he was naturally very willing. Seeing Lu Miaoge urging and the envious looks from others, Lu Qingshan clenched his teeth. He spoke up, Senior, this golden cicada was found by me and my sister together. My sister also deserves half. Could you also take my sister as your disciple? Lu Qingshan held his sister's hand, looked up at Yan Yuan before him, and pursed his lips as he spoke. Although their personalities were vastly different, one lively, the other quiet, their relationship was extremely good. Lu Qingshan knew that his sister had a 7th grade spiritual root. Her talent could be considered average, even poor. If she could be taken as a disciple by a nascent soul immortal, her future cultivation path would be much easier. Chapter 546. A stroke of luck and a foundation establishment breakthrough outside. _1 Your sister? Yen Yuan frowned slightly upon hearing this. She was usually lazy and uninterested in managing affairs, not even taking a single disciple. If it hadn't been for the fated opportunity this time, seeing that Lu Qingshan possessed the Gingjin body constitution, perfectly suitable to inherit her lineage's cultivation technique, she really didn't want to take on disciples. At this point, accepting one disciple and having to include another was something she was reluctant to do in her heart. Qingshan. Lu Miaoge looked at Lu Qingshan, who wanted to bring his daughter Lu Qingzhu, and felt deeply moved. If her daughter could become an apprentice to a nascent soul immortal, perhaps she might have a chance at reaching foundation establishment in the future. But she knew that the matter of a nascent soul immortal taking disciples was not one to be taken lightly. She immediately expressed her apologies to the woman in the red dress. Senior, Qingshan doesn't understand, please forgive his ignorance, immortal. Yen Yuan looked at the youth in front of her, lips pursed, leading his sister by the hand. She could see a bit of stubbornness between his brows. She knew that if she only took the youth before her as a disciple, he would likely not be willing. Forget it, taking one is the same as taking two. There's only me on Tianyuan Peak, it's very quiet. Having the siblings together would be just right for companionship, looking out for each other. She thought to herself. Then, turning to Lu Qingzhu, she asked, would you like to follow your brother and take me as your master? Lu Qingzhu was taken aback by the fact that the nascent soul immortal before her actually wanted to take her as a disciple. She looked at her mother and then at her brother, Lu Qingshan. Seeing both of them nod towards her, indicating her to agree, she then obediently said, Senior, I am willing. Disciple Lu Qingshan greets master. Lu Qingshan immediately showed a happy smile and, taking his sister by the hand, loudly performed the greeting. Although he wanted to ask if it would be possible to take his brother, Lu Qingsong, as well, he knew that was unlikely given the circumstances. Lu Qingzhu, watching her brother, also performed the greeting obediently with a clear and childlike voice. Disciple Lu Qingzhu greets master. Lu Qingshan, Lu Qingzhu. Alright, from now on, you are my disciples, Yen Yuan's disciples. Yen Yuan nodded her head upon hearing their names, lightly raised her hand, and let the two stand up. She then turned to Lu Miaoge and said, I happen to be visiting Jiang country this time, and I will be returning soon. Jinyang sect is far from Jiang country, but once the siblings make their breakthroughs in foundation establishment, I will allow them to return and visit their family. This is my token. If you ever have any difficulty, you can come to the Jinyang sect with this token to find me. Yen Yuan took out a token and spoke to Lu Miaoge. Now that she had taken someone's children as disciples, she naturally couldn't just take them away without giving any reassurance. She had to offer some promises. In fact, seeing Lu Miaoge with so many children, she had already guessed that the woman might be facing some issues. However, her innate laziness often kept her from interfering too much in others' affairs. Hence, she only offered the promise for foundation establishment and the token. If Lu Miaoge ran into difficulties in the future and sought her out at Jinyang sect, she would help if it was convenient. If not, she would rather not worry about it. Thank you, senior. Lu Miaoge, hearing these words, accepted the token with a respectful bow. She then instructed Lu Qingshan and Lu Qingzhu to heed their master's instructions and to cultivate diligently. Mother. Lu Qingzhu felt the impending separation, and her big watery eyes suddenly turned red, brimming with tears, her face filled with reluctance. Aunt, rest assured, I will definitely take good care of my sister. Lu Qingshan, although feeling sad inside, was comparatively more composed. He considered this journey an opportunity for cultivation. Holding his sister's hand, he earnestly said to Lu Miaoge. Yes, my Qingshan understands things best. Lu Miaoge stroked Lu Qingshan's head, hugged the two of them, her eyes filled with reluctance. Knowing that once her children went to Jinyang sect, it might be decades before she saw them again. But for the sake of her children's future prospects, she could only keep her reluctance hidden in her heart. Alright, Qingshan, little Zhuer, you must listen to your master and cultivate well. When possible, your father and I will come to visit you. Lu Miaoge repeated her instructions. But even she didn't have much confidence in her latter words. The journey from Qingzhou Mountain to Jinyang sect in Yu country was very distant. If she couldn't become a foundation establishment cultivator, the journey would be fraught with danger. She might only be able to wait for her children to reach Foundation establishment and return home many decades later. Aunt, please tell my mother not to worry about me, I will come back after succeeding in my cultivation. You tell grandfather that I will surely become a foundation-building great cultivator, a peerless sword immortal. Oh, and when my father returns home, tell him that I've been taking good care of the Jintu potato. If you and father come to visit Zhuer and me, remember to bring Jintu along. Lu Qingshan lightened the mood as he could see his aunt was also very reluctant. He smirked as he spoke. Chapter 547. A stroke of luck and a foundation establishment breakthrough outside. Yen Yuan's voice was authoritative as she spoke to Lu Miaoge. She had noticed that Lu Miaoge was just an energy-refining cultivator. With such a cultivation level, attempting to travel from Jiang country to Yu country was extremely dangerous. Out of deep motherly love and seeing that her two disciples were still young, she was willing to offer them away. Many thanks, Immortal. Upon hearing these words, a joyful expression immediately appeared on Lu Miaoge's beautiful face. If they could take the Trade Association's spiritual vessel to Jinyang's sect, all she would have to do was save up some spirit stones, and then she'd be able to visit her children. This filled her heart with great joy. Looking at the siblings on the gourd, she once again exhorted them to listen to their master and cultivate diligently. Qing Song, when your brother returns, he'll look after you. Shi Yu sister, you must cultivate diligently, or else you'll only be able to gaze at my back from now on. Standing atop the giant gourd, Lu Qingshan waved and called out to Lu Qingsong and the others. The next moment, the gigantic gourd transformed into a divine rainbow and disappeared into the sky. Lu Miaoge, cradling Lu Wangshu, stared blankly at the divine rainbow vanishing into the sky. Auntie. Aunt. Several little ones on the spirit boat, seeing Lu Miaoge's sad unwillingness to part, came forward to comfort her. Apart from Lu Qingsong, no one else felt much sadness or sorrow. Instead they felt envy. After all, this was a nascent soul immortal. They had only read about nascent soul immortals in books and textbooks. Now, Lu Qingshan and Lu Qingzhu were taken as disciples by a nascent soul immortal to an immortal sect. Naturally, this made them incredibly envious. Fine. Now that Qingshan and Qingzhu have gone to an immortal sect to cultivate, you must also diligently cultivate daily, understand? Lu Miaoge came back to her senses, revealing a gentle smile as she patted the little ones' heads, though her eyes were still a bit red. She then took out a food container from her storage bag and let the children start their meal. Even though consuming a fasting pill meant they wouldn't feel hungry, these kids were still young and growing and they often craved snacks. Changxing Qingshan actually possesses a Gingjin spirit body. Now he's been noticed by a nascent soul immortal and taken as a disciple. His future is boundless, and perhaps he has the potential to reach core formation. Moreover, Qingshan is very sensible. After being taken as a disciple by the nascent soul immortal, he still looked after his sister, requesting the nascent soul immortal to take little Zhu as a disciple. Now little Zhu has also been taken as a disciple by the nascent soul immortal. Perhaps in the future, both children could successfully reach foundation establishment. As Lu Miaoge watched the kids begin to eat and gazed into the sky where the divine rainbow had disappeared, she was lost in thought. She wanted to share this news with her husband. But the thought of Lu Changxing being out and not yet returned weighed heavily in her heart, stirring worries. She took several deep breaths, slowly exhaled and calmed her emotions. She then carefully examined the token given to her by Yen Yuan and carefully put it away. This token from a nascent soul immortal could not only take her to Jinyang sect. If Qingzhou Mountain ever faced danger, perhaps the token could serve a deterrent effect based on its value. After the children had rested and eaten, Lu Miaoge piloted the spirit boat, continuing towards Green River Marketplace with the children. Without Lu Qingshan, the spirit boat was a bit quieter than usual. 4 days later, Lu Miaoge, piloting the spirit boat, arrived at Green River Marketplace. Due to the events involving the Demon Path, Qingyun sect's marketplaces were on high alert and increased patrols. Around the marketplace, cultivators patrolled a radius of tens of miles. After landing outside the marketplace, Lu Miaoge took out the communication talisman from Xiao Xia. Shortly after, Xiao Xia appeared. She wore a moon-white dress, her demeanor cold, and her aura noble and pure like the bright moon high above, keeping others at 1,000 miles distance. Fairy Shi Yu. Fairy Xiao. Uncle Master Shi Yu. Seeing Xiao Xie, the disciples of Qingyun sect immediately bowed courteously. Xiao Xie nodded slightly, her beautiful eyes indifferent and majestic, like the cold moonlit night, exuding a daunting charisma. However, when she saw Lu Miaoge and the infant she was holding, her eyes revealed a gentleness. Her previously icy aura softened. Apart from Lu Changxing, only their daughter Lu Wangshu could stop the operation of her supreme emotion-severing art. Miaoge, did you encounter any trouble during your trip here? Xiao Xie approached and, seeing Lu Miaoge holding her daughter and accompanied by so many children, inquired. Shi Yu. Lu Miaoge immediately explained the situation of her family and the purpose of her trip. All right, no problem, Xiao Xie replied upon learning it was just a precaution and not that any actual trouble had occurred, nodding her head. She immediately had someone arrange for identity jades and accommodations for Lu Miaoge and the others. As the record chief of Green River Marketplace, such matters were easily done with just a word from her. After seeing Lu Wangshu wake up, Xiao Xie's face softened as she held her daughter, her eyes glowing with maternal warmth. The Qingyun sect disciples witnessing this were astounded, as if they had seen a ghost. They never imagined that the usually cold and noble fairy Shi Yu had such an unknown side full of tenderness. Chapter 548. A stroke of luck and a foundation establishment breakthrough outside. She had heard from the sect that her senior sister, while investigating the Xiaohou family incident, was critically injured by Xiaohou Wuwa. It just so happened that a spiritual vessel passing by saved her, thanks to the intervention of Qiyun True Immortal. But senior sister Chu Qingjia's heart was attacked by corpse poison, and it was loose cultivator Han Li who stepped forward to heal her. Therefore she firmly believed that Lu Changxing wouldn't encounter any dangers, he was just being held up by some matter. Hearing Xiao Xie speak in this way, Lu Miaoge nodded gently. The worry for Lu Changxing in her heart lessened a bit. After all, as a disciple of the immortal sects, a foundation establishment great cultivator, and sharing a Tao companion bond with her own husband, Xiao Xie's words were very convincing to her. After chatting for a while, she also brought up her children's matters, Lu Qingshan and Lu Qingzhu. She inquired with Xiao Xie about the Jinyang sect's Tianyuan True Immortal and the Jinyang Chamber of Commerce's spiritual vessel. She knew of the Jinyang sect of Yu country. But she was unclear about Tianyuan True Immortal, the Jinyang Chamber of Commerce's spiritual vessel, and such details. This information was beyond her reach. Xiao Xie didn't know much about this either. She said she would find out more later on. Once she had the relevant information, she would then inform Lu Miaoge. She also reassured Lu Miaoge that the Jinyang sect was a righteous sect. The Tianyuan True Immortal, being a nascent soul immortal, naturally had the demeanor of one, so she could rest easy. That day, outside Qingzhou Mountain, a spirit boat descended. Finally back. Lu Changxing, looking at the familiar Qingzhou Mountain before him, wore a smile on his face. Let's go, Zhixiao. Then turning to Ling Zhixiao at his side, he said warmly, taking her hand and stepping off the spirit boat. Having brought Ling Zhixiao home to an unfamiliar environment, he naturally gave her a sense of security. Changxing, you're back? Elder 9. At the mountain gate, the Lu family stationed elders saw Lu Changxing and immediately showed a look of delighted surprise. As a second-ranked talisman master, Lu Changxing still held considerable prestige within the Lu family. His return from the journey naturally uplifted people's spirits. Yes, this journey has caused everyone some concern, Lu Changxing said with a light laugh. He then introduced Ling Zhixiao to the Lu family elder before him. This is my Tao companion, Ling Zhixiao. Tao companion? Hearing this, the elder took a glance at Ling Zhixiao. Her facial features couldn't be considered stunning, just above average. Her complexion was pale and lacking color, making her look extremely frail and delicate. Chapter 549. Second-ranked top-quality talisman master. Reunion. _1 Lu Changxing had originally planned to first return home, see his wives and children, and have a family reunion. On this trip to the Jiuxiao Immortal City, he had not only prepared a surprise for Lu Miaoge. He had prepared gifts for all his wives and children as well. However, the elder of the Lu family indicated that Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding were on their way over and asked Lu Changxing to wait for a moment. Facing this situation, Lu Changxing didn't have much to say. After all, a breakthrough in foundation establishment was indeed a major event for the Lu family. If he rushed back home now, it was likely that as soon as he entered the door, Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding would come looking for him, and he wouldn't be able to have a proper family reunion. Whoosh! Instantly, a streak of escape light flew from the depths of Qingzhou Valley. Upon the movement of the family's great formation and the urgent message, Lu Yuanzhong, the Lu family ancestor, arrived first on the scene. Changxing, you've returned? When Lu Yuanzhong arrived at the mountain gate and saw Lu Changxing, joy immediately spread across his face. But in the next moment, when he noticed the faint spiritual pressure surrounding Lu Changxing, his face turned from joy to surprise, astonishment, and shock. Changxing, you've broken through to foundation establishment? Lu Yuanzhong exclaimed in shock. Even though he had previously speculated that Lu Changxing might have been concealing his strength, he could never have imagined that, on this trip out, Lu Changxing would actually break through to foundation establishment and become a foundation establishment great cultivator. This was simply astonishing. Ancestor, I encountered a fortunate opportunity during my trip and luckily achieved a breakthrough in foundation establishment, Lu Changxing said with a bowing smile as he looked at Lu Yuanzhong's astonished face. Even though he had revealed his foundation establishment cultivation, he still considered himself a junior. He did not call Lu Yuanzhong by the informal term fellow Taoist. After all, according to the family hierarchy, Lu Yuanzhong was the great-uncle of Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan. Good, Changxing, congratulations on your breakthrough to foundation establishment. Lu Yuanzhong immediately became emotional and nodded repeatedly in response. After the battle at Blackwater Pool, he felt a greater pressure than anyone else in the Lu family. Not only had the core elite of the family suffered heavy losses in that battle, but he, the family ancestor, had also been severely injured and didn't have much time left to live. Afterward, he poured all the family's resources into Lu Miaofeng, hoping that he would break through to foundation establishment and support the family. However, Lu Miaofeng failed. The foundation establishment failed. At that moment he aged considerably in an instant. His already weary body and spirit took on an added measure of sadness. He was constantly worried and restless day and night. It was precisely because of this, that upon hearing the news that the Feng family fortress was destroyed by Xiahou money, he immediately discussed with Lu Yuanding the possibility of sending some of the direct family descendants away with Lu Miaoge. He was afraid that the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain would fall on his watch. Now seeing Lu Changxing return after achieving foundation establishment, the tightly wounded and weary spirit relaxed slightly. Even though Lu Changxing was not a blood descendant of the Lu family, he had been with the Lu family for more than 20 years, had taken a wife and had children, and had shared hardships with them, having long been rooted in Qingzhou Mountain. Now that he had returned after achieving foundation establishment, his sincere and humble address of ancestor to Lu Yuanzhong showed not a trace of arrogance. That's why he trusted Lu Changxing. Ancestor, what happened to your health? Lu Changxing asked as he looked at Lu Yuanzhong's complexion. Lu Yuanzhong used to look around 40 years old, but now he seemed at least 20 years older. Moreover, his complexion was dark and dull, his aura chaotic, and there was an air of decline about him. He roughly guessed that Lu Yuanzhong had been injured in the battle at Blackwater Pool, for he could faintly sense a trace of the corpse poison he once used to help Chu Qingyi detoxify from Lu Yuanzhong. There was some trouble caused by the forces from the demon path before, so I was injured a bit, Lu Yuanzhong said, relaxing his eyebrows as he spoke. He had long come to terms with his own life and death. What he couldn't let go of was the family and his responsibility. At this moment, Lu Yuanding and Lu Miaochang rushed over. Upon seeing Lu Changxing and learning that he had made a breakthrough to foundation establishment, they reacted just like the previous Lu family elder, Lu Yuanzhong, full of disbelief, astonishment, and incredulity. Facing this reaction, Lu Changxing could only once again confirm his achievement of foundation establishment, leaving both men shocked and overjoyed. Afterward, under the respectful, envious, awe-filled, and emotional gazes of the station Lu family descendants, Lu Changxing led Ling Zixiao and went to the Qingzhou Great Hall with Lu Yuanzhong, Lu Yuanding, and Lu Miaochang. Such a significant matter as foundation establishment naturally warranted a good conversation with Lu Changxing. Jiming, hurry and share this good news that Lu Changxing has returned after completing his foundation establishment with Miaoyun, Miaohuan, and the others.